And now, live from the Man Cave, Studio B, deep in the heart of constitutional Livingston County, Michigan, it's a Sunday night conversation with special guest Clayton Bunce. The real Tim Allen is behind the scene. That'd be the one. Push the other one next to it. See what happens.
Wrong button.
Oh, yeah. Nice buttons. He's got lots of buttons to push. You never know which one. That's right. Yours truly, Larry Parsons. And now, the host of your show, the man that put this show together, guy that built the place. What's his name? Jeremy Scott Gibbs.
Formerly on the Wonder Years, but you don't know that.
We are coming in with no background.
No background whatsoever.
Look at this.
Look at that.
This feels like a Tuesday show on a Sunday.
It does.
It's because it's the 8 o'clock. I think
it does.
What it is. 8 o'clock hour
I was very, very encouraged the other day watching the interview with Joe Rogan.
Oh, and I
remember
broke
which
everything.
one it was. And the microphone just quit working.
Hold on, we got black screen.
And I'm like, this is a multi-million-dollar studio.
I know, and I just broke it.
And their stuff just didn't work.
What's going on?
Come to find out, it was just a loose cord. Probably got unplugged. We got black screen.
I know. Why do I have a black screen?
I don't. Your overlay. Can we go to just a?
I'm trying to just go to a camera. How about we go to? Let's bring it to the wall.
Yeah, let's do that.
The wall's not gonna. The right GoPro's frozen.
Of course it is.
Somebody's phone just chimed.
Thank you, Larry.
Do I have... It always does that. Just it's got to do that while I'm.
Oh, it's the push notification for the show. Why are we black?
I don't know.
I'm not racist, but I'm just asking.
No, it's a
full screen projector.
There it is.
Well, there's the overlays.
There's the overlays.
Where's your camera? Oh, you know what? Let's go to
which camera are you on?
Let's go to the super source.
There we go. No background.
And then no. Let's bring up what kind of
background
we want.
Let's bring up a really nice background there.
How about that background?
There we go. Now people can see us.
Bing!
Hallelujah!
Wow, we got stuff dangling everywhere. We got shirts and banners and
everything.
Some dude in the cowboy hat. It must be a Merkin.
This guy right here, man. Merk.
Say hi to the people of
Merkin. Are you there, man?
That was your cue to say hi.
Say hi, Clayton.
Hey, how's it going there?
Okay, you got a camera directly in front of you. Over the top of Jeremy's head.
Oh,
there it is.
That's the people.
What's up?
Okay, yeah. And then you got the one that's at the end of the table that's showing the other
There's
end.
The
tall one.
Oh, awesome.
There's there.
Yeah, that one I'll pull up occasionally.
Yeah. Is the overhead working?
I will check it. There's the one down at the GoPro to your left. Point to that.
This one?
Yep, that one's up.
That one's
there.
up.
You can wave to people there.
Both of them are up.
Oh, we got GoPro 2.
Hi.
What? GoPro 2
we got
working?
Everything going.
Nope, it's frozen with you taking a drink.
Oh, this one is?
Yeah, it's frozen with you. Dude, that's a good screenshot. Well,
you want to capture it before I unplug it?
No, that's okay. No, just unplug and plug it back in again. It might work.
I just love this hat.
Dude, that hat's awesome.
I just love it.
Well, welcome, Clayton. We're trying to get this together for a couple weeks, right? Since my birthday?
Yes. Yeah.
And you are about to leave.
Yeah, I'm heading up to Alaska. I'm working on the North Slope.
Really?
6 months?
Yeah, so usually I head up around January 1st, but this, I don't know, they just got a hold of me a couple days ago. They're ready to rock and roll. It's all determined on temperatures and how long those temperatures
now
stay.
Is that so? You're going to be all right. So for the audience, we'll get into a whole bunch of your stuff. We'll run through it. But you by trade lay pipe, but you're also a trucker.
Yeah. So typically I'm a pipeliner. On the pipeline, I'm the teamster for the pipe.
So you're driving,
right? So I transport.
Okay.
Supplies, equipment, whatever they need. But in the lower 49 is what we say.
Yeah.
I work with natural gas, and I'm on the board crew.
Clayton. Is that what is that name?
Yes.
Yes.
Clayton.
Clayton. Okay.
They ever call you Clay?
Yeah, sometimes.
You slap them and then tell them to pronounce it.
Yeah,
For you?
CJ Clay. Yeah.
Can you do
Really?
My mom calls
one
me
thing for me,
CJ.
Clayton?
I'm sorry.
Can you do one thing for me?
What's that?
Do this with your hat. Do this.
Just slightly
Oh
tip it.
yeah. So you can see my ass.
Can you tip?
I could just like bend this up a little bit. There you go. Is that better?
There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
All
And
right,
just-
you can see us right there.
You can
All right,
always
yeah.
do a little chin up, just a
There
little.
you go.
Our cameras
There
are
you
a little higher
Yeah, I
than
noticed on
mine.
some of the pictures too. I'm like, where's my ass?
Yeah.
You don't see my nose.
So
Yeah.
okay, back to this. So you basically drive truck, but you also drive truck in specialty areas, obviously,
Right.
for laying gas pipeline, other pipelines. You were
Correct.
talking about 36-inch, 48-inch, some big lines.
Yeah. Yep. So gas, natural gas in the lower 49. When I go to Alaska, it's crude oil.
Okay.
And so I'm heading up there to actually build the ice roads on the North Slope and ice pads.
So like the oil
Nice.
has
So,
some pretty dirty
I'll-
jokes. It's crude.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Articulating dumps, like it's all water, ice chips, things like that. We make the ice roads when I go up there. But
Oh wow.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
sweet.
It's wild. Like,
Have you ever been? Have you ever seen the Ice Road Truckers, the show?
Oh no. I
No.
mean, I've briefly watched it.
No, but I'm saying the crews. Have you ever seen the crews up there since you're laying the roads and stuff like that? Have you ever seen them come through and do B-roll
no.
or anything?
No, because where we work, it's nothing to do with like commerce related. It's all has to do with like the pipeline straight up, like AFC.
So these
like,
roads
there's-
aren't for delivering
Transport of
products.
goods.
This
No.
is just for getting in to do the pipelines.
This is for the Willow Project. What we're doing, I've been doing for this is my second year in the Willow Project.
Okay.
That starts. I fly into Anchorage, then I go to Kupark, and Dead Horse is where our yards at, and then we drive up to the Willow Project. And actually, Alaska, the state of Alaska owns these new drill sites in Alpine, Alaska, which is all the way to the very top.
I'm gonna try to
so,
pull
but
this
no,
up.
there's a route that's commerce, trade and normal truckers that they take. It's completely different. Everything. I have to go through like 25 or 30 safety like protocols just to be on the slope at all. Like it's wild.
Wow.
It's like being on an ice skating rink, no different. Like,
Okay.
yeah,
So look at this map over here. Did that switch? Of course it didn't switch.
I haven't done it either. Hold on one second.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, it switched. It switched behind me, Clayton. If you want to look behind me.
Oh, perfect.
Um,
Yeah, I see. You see where it says North Slope up there? Keep going north.
scrolling in. I'm trying to go up.
I'm also editing Larry's over the top of his head on his phone again because he hasn't joined the podcast since his opening intro.
Hi,
If
Larry.
you can find Dead Horse,
everybody.
look up Dead Horse, Alaska, and that's
And you said that's
way north. I'll keep going.
Larry claims he is updating you that are not watching the show right
Prudhoe
now.
Bay. Look, Prudhoe Bay. That's where I'm at.
okay.
Yeah.
He claims, but we
So
know
we've heard a lot about Prudhoe Bay.
he's
in the
playing
past.
Sudoku.
Mm-hmm.
We've also heard from Ice Road Truckers. I used to love watching that show.
Mm-hmm.
My stepdad was just a regular trucker.
Okay.
Well, this is a
drove
lot of
Peterbilt,
teal
stuff
green
like
and
that.
roads.
And then his brothers did. They delivered milk. A couple cousins delivered. Used to do water, or still do water.
So wait,
Okay, so
up on the
Prudhoe Bay.
coast.
Right
Yep.
there. All right, I'm gonna scroll back out so you guys can see this. This is all the way.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
yeah,
some
yeah,
would say
yeah.
at the top of the world. I would say closer to the center of the world, but that's fine. We'll go with whatever you want.
What
you're gonna be
Trump
up there-
Trump called it not Anwar. Yeah, that whole field. People who didn't know that the original field that we were pulling everything from out of Alaska, is that top right hand corner of Alaska, right next to the Canadian border.
Right there, the Anwar province, because that's what
Trump called it something else, not Anwar, but he misspoke and called it.
he did, and then he corrected himself later in the conversation.
Yeah, and of course,
so you're going to go up there to build the roads.
Yeah. So I initially my the job is to build the ice roads and ice pads. So you have to build the ice roads to build the ice pads, and the ice pads are for new drill sites for multiple different drilling companies that drill for crude oil up there. So after a certain point, they have to move the drill site, and it's just like moving really a building. So anyways, we build the ice roads on the North Slope, then ice pads. Then I'm probably going to move over to hauling specialized loads for the Willow Project in Alpine, Alaska, which is right by the reserve up in Alaska as well. Like,
so I've seen it on the ice road truckers. So when you're building a road, you're clearing it and clearing it. Are you crossing a lot of bodies of water? Are you coming from the lower all the way up?
When we're building it, yes. There's one, I forget the river, but there is one main, like basically a lake that we have to drive over, and that lake right there, I forget what the name of the lake is though. That determines how long, if that lake thaws out or even comes close to it, the whole, it's done for the year. You're done. That's it.
Yeah.
But with that said, we don't, that's the whole point of building the ice roads, so we don't disrupt the tundra. Okay,
Right.
so that's the whole like deal that we have, like the natives and all that, like we don't grind through any gravel or disrupt the tundra at all. When that road thaws out, it's like we were never there.
It just melts away.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so yeah,
Wow.
that's the whole point of.
So how do you do that? You come through and spray. I mean, it's freezing
Yep.
temperatures. You spray down layers like a Zamboni.
Well, there's ice chips, and actually that's what I'm going to be delivering.
Okay.
Ice chips, and there's an ice chip maker next to a lake or near a lake that makes ice chips. It puts it in the back of my truck, like a dump truck, a big huge dump. Basically, that is a side dump.
Okay.
And then there's what we call big barrels, which is the equivalent to a semi truck that delivers fuel to gas stations. It's exactly what it is.
Okay.
That goes out, pours water. I dump the ice chips. The grader comes through. They mix it all up, and it makes an ice road.
How quickly does that freeze in those temperatures up there?
Holy shit.
Within seconds.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably.
Yeah.
fast.
So I'm thinking by the time you're dumping it in the water,
Right.
and then the grader comes through.
Well, I mean, it does take, for it to be completely frozen,
Yeah.
even at -30, -50. I mean, of course, it's probably like an hour.
Okay.
But I will say that when everything's in its prime, to maintain the ice road, those same big barrels are driving on the ice roads, and they're just dumping water.
Mm.
So they'll be like a quarter mile in front of you dumping water.
Okay.
And you just have to, typically what you do is you make sure you can pass, which is, sounds crazy, but you just have to make sure that you can pass him. But if you're within a quarter mile of that vehicle, that big barrel,
Mhm.
it'll be frozen by the time you get to that.
Well, it sounds
Wow.
like faster than setting asphalt. That's for damn sure.
What's
yeah.
the speeds you guys are traveling at?
The speed limit is 35.
35.
You know, and
35 on sheer ice.
yeah, and especially like when I'm in my prime and I'm doing, specialized load, that's
Mhm.
like the tail end of being up there.
Mm.
The truck
Wow.
from the front bumper to the doubles I haul is 150 feet long. So
Wow.
they're called double K lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
they're,
Yeah. Because a typical long box
It's at 80,
is 90 feet.
90. Yeah, 89,
yeah,
90
it's
feet.
150 feet. That's the winch truck.
Wow.
It's a Kenworth. And hauling anything.
Are you chained? Are you all chained up?
No.
You're straight.
Yeah.
Now, do they do any different type of tires in that type of temperature?
I mean, they have some somewhat aggressive, more aggressive tires than what you see, but I would say nothing special,
Mm.
really.
Yeah.
And
they're never going to switch to these radial ones. You see the big balloon tires taking up the dualies, right?
no.
No, they're going to stay with the bias ply kind of.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah. And really it just all has to do with if you know how to drive. There are no automatics and stuff. Like you can't use your brakes. You don't
Right.
use your brakes ever. In fact, you never set your brakes on the trailers when you stop and all that.
Yeah.
The vehicle stays running. You never depress your brakes because they'll freeze up.
Oh,
In
wow.
fact, it gets so cold that
The
like
brakes will freeze up.
exactly. And
Wow.
let's say you
Now, is that based on the fluid, or is that based on?
air brake.
yeah,
the
so
air
you have your
brakes?
brake chambers, like your
Oh, right, that's
slack
air brakes. I'm
adjusters.
thinking,
It's air
yeah,
brakes,
So-
but any moisture gets into the air system and crystallizes.
Yeah,
and then
they're
you're
frozen.
done.
And
Wow.
there's nothing I mean, like it's a mess. It's a world of mess. You're not
So you're
going
doing a
anywhere.
lot of
engine brake,
engine
there's three
brakes.
engine brake and downshifting.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
And really it's just all about
Finesse,
where
knowing
I
what the hell
drive,
you're
like
doing.
if you go up and down a hill, like you have to know what you're doing on that slope. Like where I go, it's you have to go fast up the hill. Then right when you get to the top of the hill, there's a quick 90. You have to understand and really
Right.
like
You guys really detailed maps. Of course, you're building the road, so you know a lot of it. But guys have to know.
yeah, because it's
that
over.
route.
If you go backwards, it's done. You're done. There's no one saving you. It's over. Like so yeah, you have to know how to drive. You know how to operate.
Right. Is there a
and-
training program for guys that end up there? I mean, is there heavy duty? You said what, 40 different things but I'm sure that's regulations wise. But
I'm not aware of any training programs. I've just been driving for over 30 years.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that you're chosen to pretty much do something like this, it's not
right.
like they.
So when you see like the ice road trucker shows where the kid would just show up there and think he's gonna
No, it's not
get
like that at all.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, there's let's say out of 1,000 drivers,
Mhm.
out of Park, which is that's like the base for where all specialized loads come from in Alaska. There was, I think, 20 or 30 of us out of 1,000 drivers that they selected. I didn't apply for that position. Now, when you're driving articulating dumps, it's different.
Okay.
Anyone can pretty much operate those if you understand hydraulics. But yeah, I didn't. It was I enjoyed every minute of it. I just loved it. Yeah.
And you're going up for your second year.
This is my second year. Yeah.
Okay. Another question before we get into some more of your background. This is Alaska. Alaska is heavy duty on oil. We know that Biden walked in office and shut down the Keystone. And they've been threatening here in Michigan to mess with the number 5 for a long time. What's the atmosphere still in Alaska as far as the oil drilling and everything like that? Because we went from $1.80 under Trump to close to $4 back down to. I mean, I filled up today for just under $3. It's ridiculous. We should, if it would have kept going with Trump, the highest part of our gas bill at the pump should have been the taxes, and then we go and fight about the taxes. I mean, we have the highest. I think we have one of the highest gas taxes in the country in the state of Michigan. 35 or 38 cents per gallon. It's ridiculous.
Exactly, and then so the view on that in Alaska, is they just. I mean, honestly, the Willow Project. That's the biggest thing going on. There's hundreds of billions of dollars literally being invested in all this, and fantastic companies that are literally one drop of oil gets on the snow, and like it's a huge deal. Like every time you park, you have to put like stuff underneath all your motors, everything.
He just unplugged his mic.
Oh, did I?
No, you're good.
But long story short, like the Biden administration.
It's that one. It's that side.
Oh, it's
the other one. Yep. Let me see it.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I can hear him now.
Yeah. Let's make sure it's good. You're good.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
The Biden administration sued multiple times to shut down that project, and they succeeded one time. And then Then they ended up.
Do you know what the grounds were?
Environmental, like
oh shit.
Just it's always environmental. Yeah. I mean, that's across the nation, but Alaska, like.
So we're talking about oil.
Exactly.
If one drop gets on the snow, they freak out.
Everyone
is this refined? Is this refined oil, or is this the natural crude that comes out of the ground that God ordained to be in the soil in the first place?
Exactly. By smushing dinosaurs, yes.
But now it's that's not.
It's not dirty. I'm going to tell you, like, it's not what you could even imagine. Like, these companies and us as pipeliners that are up there, we are held to the highest standards across the board.
Yeah.
We take that very seriously. This is native land. Like this is a privilege to be there doing that. If you're there, you're held to high standards, and it's not swayed in any way.
But then people, lefties, environmentalists, take every advantage they can to try to shut that down.
Yeah, in fact,
control things.
And after the Willow Project, after they sued, and the Willow Project continued, you can look it up. Like Biden did an executive order to set aside 100 million acres of land that that these companies planned on exploring on. I mean,
so that they weren't allowed to go in there.
It's like imagine investing a ton of money into something.
It's like Obama shutting down the clean coal plants that we have here and letting China just build one a week.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. If you had to pick a plan to destroy this country,
they did.
They did it.
Yeah.
So like that's the way I see it now. I don't see it at any of these policies while the Biden administration had the power. There's not a single thing they ever did to make this country great or to make it self-reliant on energy or anything. It was always if you had to pick a plan to destroy this country, that's exactly what you would do, and that's what they did. And that's why all these prices have gone up. And honestly, the Fed's pumping so much money into the stock market. Like you haven't even seen the real prices, really.
Right.
It's all manipulated. So yeah, I mean, when it comes down to natural gas, or crude oil, like I've seen it all. We got projects, like for instance, the project I just got off of in Michigan, that's 36-inch gas line, right?
Okay.
The last time that pipe was put in 85 years ago,
Wow.
all we were doing is replacing that pipe.
Right.
Huge problem. Like they're burning up excavators and stuff. No, we're not putting any. That's just what happens when that pipe blows up or releases gas.
Exactly.
What are you going to do without natural gas? You're
85 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. 85
Was it
years
Keystone
ago.
was line like third line, right?
Keystone was the one that came down from Alaska
already
right
two other lines
into the south.
See, I wasn't involved with the whole Keystone thing,
right.
so like I'm not completely.
Well, it's just saying that
knowledgeable
there's
about
other lines already there that you know the environmental blah blah blah.
Yeah, but
right.
It's like
Trump had that.
laying pipe usually next to other pipe. Doing upgrades. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's it's important because you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking like that much gas.
Yeah.
I mean, although there are safety measures but like, why would you do that? Like, I just don't understand. So, like I said,
well, because you're not maniacal and trying to destroy the country and make money on it.
Right. And then I just found out that a lot of oil's coming in from South America that basically is like gel, and then they refine it in Texas.
Yep.
And like I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
I know from looking at it and my having a background with my step family being in trucking. Some of the oil that they're refining up in Alaska and some of our American oil fields, you can basically run it through a coffee filter and dump it into a diesel truck. That's why I look at the diesel prices.
Right.
And I go, how is diesel the highest at any given pump when you can literally run it through a coffee filter and put it in your truck?
Exactly. Yeah.
And they proved it with all the bio when you could go to the Taco Bell and get their oil, run that through a filter, and biodiesel it.
The sad part about the whole thing to me is being that I've had the privilege to working with some of the finest people in the country, pipeliners, and honestly, I'm somewhat reluctant to call myself that because I hold to such high standards. These are people that literally gave up their. I mean, these jobs don't just last a month or even 2 weeks. These are years.
Right. You're going to go for 6 months and what? Come back every 3 weeks? You said
you walk away from. You have to do what you got to do, but like spent all that time away from their family. I mean, these are great people. I mean, just the best people you could ever even that are always going to be there. That's all you have is your brother's keeper out there working on the pipeline like that. And,
right.
And
are there ever any opportunities for families to join in?
No. I mean, I don't know what you mean by join in, but
like if a wife came up for a couple of weeks, could she ride in the cab with her husband? And
no, never.
They don't allow that.
I mean, they can, like, for instance, I'll go from Purdue Bay to Anchorage. I do have plans set in place to where when my R&R starts, I'll meet up and I see once every 3 or 4 weeks for like a week. But like that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
When I'm working in the lower 49 on some of these other projects, with natural gas, like when I was in Virginia, no, you take 1 day off, bye.
Because they're just going.
Yeah, like you don't even bother coming back.
What's your communication like up there?
In Alaska, there's only AT&T is the only cell provider that really works. But once you get on the North Slope, it's kind of like all over the place. But the communication, for the most part, it's good. But when you get into once you get on the ice road, that changes. Like, yeah, it's.
So do you get opportunities to call home and do that and
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like when you're at man camp, they call it man camp.
Okay.
It's
That's
like
cool.
a city.
Man camp,
there's Wi-Fi, there's a workout gym, there's cafeterias, and like they have prime rib. Like it's a city inside. That's
nice.
Anything you could imagine, movie theater, and that's where you live.
Well, I can imagine
so, Larry, move your microphone down because it's rubbing on your stubbly chin. I already muted you because I heard you rubbing. And as soon as we do that, but just hang it on your string, dude. I don't care.
He's not talking. Just leave him.
So down here, what's the regulation for Michigan or is it lower 48? You said 49.
Oh, yeah,
I
where's
want to hear
49?
that.
Who's the 49th?
I want to hear that. Is that Mexico included?
Yeah, I
When
don't
you say
know.
lower-
Like, that's
lower
I guess
49.
I had to
Did
really
you
think about that. They always call it
misspoke?
the lower 49. But yeah, I don't know. That's strange.
Because you guys aren't
48.
driving to Puerto
It's
Rico,
48.
so unless we're
Right.
recording
Or
Yeah,
Hawaii.
I know,
unless
like,
we're
I
including,
got that terminology from native. So like, maybe he was playing tricks on me.
maybe
about
they
that.
mean
Maybe,
maybe
like-
they're including Canada
Yeah,
as like the
yeah, no, that's probably what.
the other
Yeah.
state.
The other state. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
could be. But what's the regulation for driving in a 24-hour period? Is it 8 hours on or 10 hours on? What's the regulation? 11 hours on?
11, well, you can work 14 hours
'Kay.
in a day, but you can only drive 11 of those 14 hours.
Okay.
Mhm.
What's the regulation up there in Alaska for doing this type of work?
None.
That you just go
They're
when you tell
probably
you to go?
logbook. I would imagine that kind of work is logbook.
No, there's no DOT. I mean, as far as I know, that you're not on a DOT regulated that road that's recognized by FMCSR anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are not interstate roads.
So these
Yeah.
are private. If anybody's
This is
over it,
private
it's
property,
it's
private
Alaska.
land.
Oh, it's private land. But
Yeah, this
but
all native
Alaska,
land.
state of Alaska is still giving the land lease, right? Or are
Well,
these purchased? They straight up
so-
purchased land? Because you're talking about it being native.
Yeah, but on job
Well-
sites, rules change. If you're
Well,
like if you're a
100%, but-
construction worker and you're driving like an articulating dump, you have no logbook restrictions.
He's a dump.
Right.
Yeah, because you're on a if you're working in a mine, if
Okay.
you're strip mining, if you're
Well,
working
even
in a
if you're
quarry.
on a DOT regulated standpoint, as long as you start and finish
Mhm.
in the same spot, doesn't matter what you're driving, you're not regulated to 11 hours or even
Right.
14.
Wow.
So as long as you don't go outside that 100-mile aerial radius
Mhm.
within, and that it does include the past 7 days as well.
right.
So like the moment that you don't start and finish at the same spot within the past 7 days, you're not held. Because we used to use a lot of 16-hour days with US Foods when I worked there
Okay.
a long time ago. So like if you did a layover, right, you stay the night somewhere out of state or whatever, that means that, yeah, you couldn't use another 16-hour day until you had worked 7 more
Right.
days in the same start to finish in the same spot. Which
Yeah,
would be your
they
home
changed
facility,
that
yeah.
rule from what the way I understand it now. That rule only applies now, from the way it's been explained to me, to like day cab drivers
Oh,
or
okay.
people that
Oh.
run if you're running intrastate versus interstate.
Right.
Mhm.
Interstate means you cross state lines. Intrastate means you don't leave the state of Michigan
Right.
or whatever other state that you
Yeah.
happen to live in.
Yeah, see, and that's
So-
the next thing too. It's been a while since I've had to worry about all that.
Yeah, because you're working on these specialty
right.
things.
So yeah.
I
Now-
prefer a 36-hour day between me and the Harkusians.
And I loved it when they
gamers.
had the 34-hour reset and it had to be 2 consecutive days.
Yes.
Okay.
Because actually drivers actually got some time off. So these over the road guys, like it's insane. They'll run 72 hours and they know how to manipulate the blog books and the companies know how to manipulate the time to the point where like these guys don't stop running.
Yeah.
Ever. They don't get any time off. They get a 10-hour reset and that's that.
Yeah, it's
And it's
pretty
ridiculous.
You're pretty much
Wow.
nowadays everything's electronic logged. That's why I came off the road
Mhm.
because if I run if I run out of time an hour or 2 hours before I can go home,
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit somewhere for
Oh,
the
right.
weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, you got
It's-
electric logs where you're at?
No, we're logbook exempt for construction.
Oh, okay.
But before that,
And
the
we don't
reason
go-
where you
we
got
don't
off the
go
road.
as, outside of that 100-mile an hour, or excuse me, 100-mile
Right.
100,
Radius?
I think it's actually more now. I think they extended it over.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be 101 air miles.
Yeah.
Take a pin from your dispatch area. where
As the
park-
crow flies, as they say.
Yep, or as the crows fly, and draw a
Mhm.
circle
Oh,
on the
okay.
map, 101 air miles, and you could drive anywhere in that and not have to have a logbook.
At 100 miles
But
an
you're
hour if you're Larry.
100,
Yes.
100 miles, not 100 miles an hour.
He
That's
drives
why
fast.
UPS, man. They're the worst.
Yeah, but yeah,
Those guys, they
exactly.
killed them guys.
UPS.
Dude, those guys are going all the time.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
package delivery, like 150 stops, 200 stops. in
I had a
day.
guy last year. Last year, I'm shoveling snow. Right, the UPS guy shows up. He stops. He gets out. He's in shorts and
Of course.
tennis shoes.
That's the
and I'm
UPS
out
guard,
plowing
man.
snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I've seen so many of those guys that they jump out in their shorts and they just go.
UPS doesn't issue pants. They don't use pants.
Right.
Yeah.
They
issue
literally
socks,
don't
though. You
issue
get socks, you get
pants.
underwear.
You get tall socks, yeah, and
Right.
shorts.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's a
that's it.
reason why you go with brown because you might be shitting yourself after you get home.
Right.
Yep.
Okay,
Oh.
so trucking, good.
He wore the brown.
I
pants.
want to get to movies in a little bit,
Are we gonna go to the
but
stuff?
we're gonna go to the stuff.
Let's go to the
as
stuff.
you guys can see around the man cave, and of course on your
Here's the
well,
stuff.
you can see it on your host.
That one. Yep.
Shirts at the end of the table. We're going to go over that particular white one there. Behind Larry and Clayton, there's some other. He
Other
brought a
stuff.
flag for the man cave. He also brought a
Yep.
gorgeous poster here of with Donald Trump.
Coming to the wall. Yep. Yep.
That's right.
I can't go
It's
table.
my
Do
favorite.
wall shot. Wall. Yeah, just wall.
I'm getting kind of hungry.
So there's
Yeah.
MAGA Donalds there.
Wait, we could go
MAGA
overhead.
Donalds.
Let's see if
We could do-
overhead
we could do that.
works. Wait,
Can
overhead.
we do overhead?
Oh, you remember you moved it to the button and it always throws me.
It does. You just tell me and I'll flip it down.
There we go. Flip
Boom.
it down. Boom. Oh, upside down.
Upside down.
I was hoping it would look down her shirt, but it doesn't work that way in 2 dimensions.
And it's getting a lot of.
No, you're gone. The glare's coming from the right places.
all right.
The sheen comes off the curves. and
sheen comes
right
off the
light.
curves.
Yes, he's good.
So we love Donald there.
Yep.
Scared ketchup.
Oh wait,
bottle.
Donald's in that shot. I didn't notice. I was not even noticing. Oh, is that a Donald Trump?
I
thing?
just wanted to know if it was
didn't-
Lauren
couldn't tell.
Boebert because she got caught in the theater or criticized for being in the theater and getting
honked.
God, it's such a
her date was getting handsy and she had no problem with it, but apparently the press thought that being conservative and having a boyfriend in a theater getting handsy is unacceptable.
Right.
They don't know conservatives. do
The party of
right.
they?
of
Still like girls.
Right.
the party of transgender and child molestation
So,
Yes.
is upset with Boebert getting a feel.
No, just put on a
That's
skirt and a pair of
funny.
khakis. You're good.
You're good to go. What got you in this merchandise? Tell us about the merchandise, and then I want to know how did you get into it. So what's that been how many year journey?
well, I mean, we make all the hoodies and t-shirts ourselves. And everyone's different. I mean, really, there's not a single thing that is the same with most of their hoodies and t-shirts.
Okay.
You know, we have hats, we do signs, like I get signs made, this and that. But it was only been 3 months that I've been,
3 months.
Right. Yeah. Since
Okay.
I got laid off
Okay.
with the last large project I was on,
Right.
which was in Michigan.
Did you do any type of t-shirts or anything before
No,
that?
never.
You just dove in.
Right. Exactly. So,
Okay.
you know, working down south and all that, like, there's Trump stuff all over. In fact, I drove through Trump Town in Virginia when I was on the MVP line. Like, you know,
Trump Town.
Yeah, it was like Trump Town. Like, it was insane. Like,
Was it naturally named Trump Town, or they just
I think
renamed
so,
it?
but like, I was working so much, like I never stopped. Honestly, I just didn't have time. But I had only enough time to do my laundry when I was there. But it's what I was trying to like get to was like everyone's Trump.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been anywhere in the country that, you know, is not a Trump supporter. I
That's
haven't
amazing.
I haven't seen it.
Right.
Even in Alaska. So when I got laid off in Michigan on the last project I was on, which is a huge project,
Right.
that's usually what I do is just the larger projects. Well, they all got shut down or even paused because of just Biden shutting them down for whatever reason. It could be environmental. It could, but there was no sense to it at all. So, which whatever. I don't mind some R&R, you know.
But there was no explanation as to why it got shut down, and you're
Right,
just
or
you're
even
just
when
all
it was going to start up.
And that's not totally unusual for some of the lines of work
No.
that we're in, where you could just all of a sudden, for whatever reason,
Right.
you know, there's a
But the projects are there.
Yeah.
They were sued to stop,
right.
waiting approval or whatever.
Yep.
In the meantime, like if you rely on that project to go and you're
Right.
so like you could, what they call it, drag up, like drag up means you quit. Like, so you'll drag, a lot of guys drag up like right before the project's over to go on to the next one. So you could be like the first man showed up at the next project. Right.
Mhm.
Well, you know, everything stopped. Like, I mean, you're talking thousands of pipeliners just couldn't find work, and whatever
Wow.
work was there.
Here, just alone in Michigan.
No, it was across the whole country.
Okay.
And I don't know. I said, screw it. I'm like, you know, I was upset about the coming home after being gone for almost 2 years on the pipeline.
Yeah.
Seeing my kids, the ideology that's being endorsed, how my kids are viewing things really kind of concerned me a lot.
Mhm.
And nobody's doing nothing. that was why I started doing all this.
I just realized
And
we totally went over our disclaimers.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, we our disclaimer, which he's never heard, and we only recognize
probably
two
watch the shows.
genders.
Yeah, we only
Dangle
recognize.
and no,
Yeah,
our
dangle, no
disclaimer
dangle.
for the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, and
It's
those
a
are
Sunday show.
recognized at consumption.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion. But I have 5 kids.
Right.
You know, and when they first started school was when COVID started. My daughter's 10 years old.
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
And so I just said, screw it. I'm pushing Trump. I'm getting this going right now. So
Mhm.
of course I went online, bought some stuff, and I set up the tent, this and that. And the only thing I couldn't control on an inventory standpoint, because I didn't want to get a bunch of stuff from China,
Okay.
was the hoodies and t-shirts. And so, yeah, it was a learning curve 100%, but that's what made us great. But it wasn't just, I put food on the table with doing it.
Okay.
I didn't get rich at
Right.
all.
Well, if you're buying it from somebody who's doing it and you're trying to get to their manufacturing as well as doing your manufacturing, because if you're buying it, you got to get the wholesale price in order to do anything.
Yeah, well, I just make the images, I have them printed, and I press them on whatever t-shirt or hoodie.
Right.
But when it comes down to hats and all the other accessories, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is the stuff that you're picking up and then selling, you got to get to that wholesaler.
Oh yeah.
And then the stuff that you're making, you're trying to find all of your dynamics to go, all right, I can save here, I can save there, but I can do the best thing. And I'm not going to get this shit from China.
Yeah. And also there's a lot of things changing during that process as well, to the point where like anything happens in a news front of Trump's, you know, anything Trump, like when they tried to shoot him or, you know, like run, spot, run, like there's always something going on. Let me change this real quick, fix this. Everything's always changing. So like you have to keep up with that, you know, to make it exciting for people. But ultimately, the most rewarding part about all of it is that white hoodie. You know, there are a lot of people on all levels, doesn't matter, that we're so just grateful that we were there doing what we were doing.
Okay.
Which was that they could finally stop and talk about Trump and say that name and not be attacked, right?
That's huge.
So, and that was the greatest part about it all. Meeting Larry, meeting you, like those are the things that, and my kids seeing that you know, somebody's got to stand up at some point, and it's going to have to happen at one point or another, and it did. And that's what the results of this election. You know, this is what we got.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the white MAGA hoodie. Explain what that one is.
Oh, so those are signatures from a lot of our customers that you know, came by and signed a hoodie that we're sending to Donald J. Trump in Mar-a-Lago. So yeah, that hoodie means a lot to me.
Yeah,
you know, those are people. Those are great people.
Did we bring the pen up? I wanted to have us sign it at the end of the. We've got. When we go to sign yeah, when we go to sign, I want to sign that as well at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I figured we had roughly about 20,000 customers on Oakland County.
Okay.
And you're talking like maybe a 10-mile radius on 59. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Darla actually met him before I did.
And happy birthday to your wife.
Yeah. Yeah, it is her birthday. Yep. It was a lot of fun.
I'll never forget meeting Larry, though. That was a great moment.
I appreciate it.
You survived it. I mean, that's powerful.
It's been
in and of itself.
explained a couple different ways.
Some of
Grace
these guys
is
have to go to therapy.
memorable,
Yeah.
unforgettable. There's different ways of explaining.
Dramatic.
Yeah, so we got kicked out of one spot.
Traumatizing.
And then, yeah, I always like look at things in a positive manner, and it. So like having to move, it was great because I just got to reach out to different people in a different area.
So are you just setting up like on a corner?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere I felt like. I went to a lot of rallies, just
right.
Not to be like shady about anything at all. Like if I seen a building that was for sale or whatever, I mean, like most of the rallies, here we go, boom, see ya. Like
and
in
just
fact,
pop in there and
and then like the one in Novi had the Trump bus stop, and you know, like he pulled in, so we lucked out there, right across from where he was. But
yeah, every time I stop to see him, there's people coming in. I mean, they're just come in, go out, come in, go out.
I'm looking at
hats and shirts.
A lot of your hoodies, and these are not hoodies I've seen. You're coming up with these designs.
All of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I buy the designs, the print, and then I make them large, small, whatever.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll I'll trim them up and use, like for instance, this just jacket. This is Trump train, right? And
Right.
if you look on the top of that hoodie,
Yep.
that's
Trump train coming
So
to
like,
town.
Yeah, we made them very unique, and almost all of them have something on the back.
Okay.
But, I always try to have the American flag no matter what. And recently, the 45-47 is a must.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I love that. Now, where did you get the MAGA in the shape of Miller? That's
Yes.
the Miller.
that was our first image, like one of our first images, and it just ran. Like, I just, purchased whoever made it. I don't remember who
Okay.
it was. I bought the rights to the PDF file from someone, and
Right. You can just pop
yeah,
that on everywhere.
exactly. Yeah, I love that. That's a cool image.
Yeah, I like it.
One of our favorites, and it's one of the biggest ones. And then my most recent favorite is the Kamala, You're Fired.
Yeah.
Every time I see that,
I was just
love
watching. It ended up being. I thought it was live, but it was actually Tucker Carlson like 5 days before the election
okay.
with Trump, and he was talking about that. He was talking about the firing, but he was talking about how he was too nice before, and he would kind of give people an opportunity, and then just ask them to
Mhm.
write a letter and resign, and then they would come out and say, "Oh no, and he's like, the second term, he's like, when I'm elected, he's like, if I don't like the job you're doing, I'm going to do it like The Apprentice or even more abruptly. You're fired. You're out of here." And that's what he did with Kamala. And so I love it.
I just the whole election and how it turned out. We took Michigan.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's absolutely amazing.
In the midst of their cheating, in the midst of their
Mhm.
of the shenanigans, but we had a lot of. I mean, we dispatched a lot of people. I mean, we collectively, the MAGA movement,
Mhm.
Trump, along with a lot of other independent people, we dispensed a lot of people to the suspect polling areas.
Right. It was
And
being
the
watched.
sheriffs
Yep.
and the poll
Mhm.
watchers were sitting there. So when they pulled
Yep.
up these trucks in the middle of the night,
At 12:10
they were like,
a.m.
"What are you doing here?"
I didn't even really hear anything about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it
That's
almost
because
like
the
didn't-
mainstream
right.
cut it way down. But
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of videos
Yeah.
where they're like pull up,
Yep.
and it's a couple of panel vans, and they're like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yep.
"Oh, nothing. We're just stopping for a minute," and then they keep driving. So you never caught anybody trying to unload because there was such a presence there.
And that was the whole point of opening the border. And that
Yes.
totally backfired because those people that, they were coming here to run from tyranny. And
Right.
and then they're seeing, oh my gosh, like I traveled 2 months to get away from tyranny, and here I am like going in the midst of it
pawn
again.
of tyranny.
Yeah, I'm a pawn in it.
Right. And so
Yeah.
like they're not dumb. These are
Yeah.
people that
Well, they had this huge, another huge migrant caravan coming up, and 2 days before the election, it just broke up and people scattered and went back
Really?
home. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
see, I didn't even
No
that's the
more
thing.
free shit.
no more free
Last year-
shit.
No
Last year
free
was different. Like you seen, like there was a lot of coverage of all that. Like,
Yeah.
like all these different boxes and things like that. Like I really can't think of a time when I've seen like any kind of coverage of too much of that even happening. But with Elon Musk being involved,
Yes.
pushing
X was huge.
yeah, and really just and making it a point to get out and vote early.
Yeah.
Like that was like Elon Musk being involved. Like in my opinion, it would have been very tough for Trump to gotten the numbers that he had got because I believe that he protected him on a lot of different levels.
100%. That RFK coming over,
Mhm.
and then the movement. You didn't just have the core of the people that chose to run. I think DeSantis would be the one outlier,
Right. Yep.
but the core of the people that ran when they suspended their campaigns became part of the Trump machine. And
Right.
that's not to say DeSantis wasn't supportive, but he threw a lot of barbs when he was in and shouldn't have, and made some mistakes there, but they've reconciled on that.
Mhm.
But you look at Vivek. As soon as Vivek
Right.
suspended his campain,
Yep.
he's talking about Trump, and he never disparaged Trump or anything like that.
No, he didn't.
He was just saying, I'm presenting not even other ideas, but
right.
his core was to revive America or to
Right.
restore America. And so
And
he
I
had a
just
different,
love that.
yeah, he had a different flavor, but the same concept. And he was fully in support of Trump
Mhm.
and didn't know, how it was going to pan out.
Yeah, he played that so perfect.
He did.
I mean, and it wasn't even a play. That was just instinct.
That was
in my
just
opinion.
instinct. And yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, I mean, if you had to put a team together and you had anyone to choose in the whole world,
Yeah.
right, which Trump does.
You didn't bring up that thug one. I wanted to see that thug one. You got the thug one with it's JD Vance,
Yep.
Elon, Trump,
I can grab
and
it.
was it Vivek?
No, it's,
No, it was RFK.
RK. That's right.
Yeah, so yeah, you had Vance,
Yeah, I'll grab it in a
Trump,
second.
Elon, and RFK.
Yep.
Phenomenal, dude.
No, it is phenomenal. And with that team, and I always imagine like the people behind those people.
Mhm.
But ultimately, it's us.
Right. Oh, 100%.
As U.S. citizens and really just
isn't that why the movement was so powerful and so strong? And
Absolutely.
it's carried over since 2016. It's just built up more and more. And they say the numbers were a little down as far as some of the turnout. I don't believe that. I don't believe in that in any way, shape, or form, because maybe it's the numbers are the same, but people are more vocal. I might be able to buy that.
Right.
But I saw so many people, especially with the RFK Democrats, that once RFK came in and started talking about Donald Trump and really told people who he was, those people that were walking behind him, I don't think he lost maybe 10% of those people, maybe 10%.
That was a very, you know what, ultimately, I'd like to say Elon Musk played the most, but you know what though, prior to Elon Musk, RFK was the game changer. That's kind of like, that's what made it tilt.
Yeah.
But you know, it's gotten to the point where like it boiled down to a pipeline. It boiled down to people like us, like making a difference.
Yeah.
Standing up for our kids. Like, and my kids are everything to me.
Yeah.
And my kids seeing that I stood up to like this, and I'm not afraid of anyone. I've never have been. But like coming home to all this madness,
it's crazy,
and all this crazy stuff going on,
and what you're pointing out is very emblematic of the whole movement. Yours was pipelines, and watching guys you work with all of a sudden just get laid off, and not having a reason, and knowing it's probably some environmental bullshit lawsuit thing going on, or whatever it is, whatever the speculation. But either way, you know that this is not an administration that is for the working man, truly for the working man.
No.
And then you watch them in Chicago, where all of a sudden the whole black community is saying, to hell with the Democrats. We're done with you people. We're voting for Trump because we're sick and tired of all this garbage. And now you're bringing in illegals to take our rec centers and to take our schools over and to give them housing and give them more money than you've ever given us, you know, and they just got more and more pissed off. And so it wasn't one hot button issue. It was multiple issues across the board where all of these different groups of people came to a certain reason and said, you know what? This is my reason I'm voting for Donald Trump. This is my reason I'm voting for Donald Trump. Or this is my reason I'm not voting it at all. Right?
They went from dividing us as far as an individual.
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is. Thug life.
Keep up.
Yeah, I love it.
They were very, you know, they were very successful at dividing this country on culturally. But they went as far as dividing an individual to where like they didn't even know if they were a man or a woman,
right,
or what sex they were, right? That's how far they took it. And the United States and the American people finally
had enough.
It was to the point where like your culture is going to be completely erased from this planet, 100%, right?
Right.
But then we came together and we're stronger than ever now, right? Yeah. And I believe that. I believe that we came. Anytime you go through adversity in life, you come out stronger, and that's where we're at now. You know, like and I think that there's going to be a lot of fantastic things that happen because of that, lessons that were learned. And so with my kids, that's all I think about, honestly. 99% of my thoughts. Seeing what's going on in the school system, and some of the things that my teenage son Anthony's going through. You know, like they call and talk to me about all these ridiculous things. I'm like, well, you're there to educate my child. Like,
right.
What, you don't call me when he's getting a bad grade, but you want to call me when like he's late for fourth hour.
Right.
Like he's got an E in this or whatever it may be, right? On an education standpoint. But you guys spend so much time on authoritarianism that like it doesn't even make any sense to me. So that's where I'm at with school. In fact, we just pulled him out of middle school.
Okay.
Because of he's not getting an education.
No.
He's just not
And
happy to be there. But these are post-COVID things we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Then no one's addressed that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't understand it. Like, no one, how could anyone? But like, you know, just imagine what's going on in a child's head
Right.
with post-COVID PTSD, like having been streaming for 2 years of their life.
Right.
And coming out of that, like, and then wanting them to take you seriously when nobody did nothing to protect them.
Right.
How could you know,
And-
they're smart enough to understand that though.
Yeah, exactly. And I could break down the whole dynamics. I've had a problem with the Prussian education system that we have in America. From the time that I started thinking about it, you know, and really looking at it, I'm like, wait, and I look at some of these, you know, it's like, why are kids in school for 8 hours when you could teach them for a couple hours, the same amount?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you sending them home with homework? You know, I've heard a number of
Right.
people where they go, why are you sending homework home? And they will, no, you had them for 8 hours, which is far more
Right.
time than you
Right.
would ever need
No, you're
to
absolutely
teach
right.
that. And you're sending them home with homework? No. They're like, why is your kid, you know, why are your son or daughter not doing their homework? Why are you sending home extra work? You
Well-
have them for 8 hours. Are you kidding me?
And then they change the curriculum. You don't even know how to even teach them or even show them how to do it.
Correct. And
Like
then
all
they're,
these boxes and circles.
they
like,
get rid of
oh,
cursive. They get rid of all sorts. They've tried to get rid of phonics. So the kids aren't taught to sound out a word. They're taught to just sight read it. There's a whole other dynamics. Then you bring in the latest bullshit on top of the lockdowns of the DEI.
You
or
gotta call me by the right pronoun.
Yeah, I still don't even know how to do that. So I could
Yeah.
get in trouble real fast.
It's
Yeah,
man.
well, my pronoun is
Yeah,
we
pronoun
one.
or whatever.
It's what?
My pronouns are we one.
Yeah, that's good pronouns.
Yeah.
Mine are a little bit more spicy. I'll refrain. I'll just write them on my shirt. It starts with an F, and the second word starts with an O.
Oh.
Those are my two.
Is the second word off?
It is. It is.
And does like luck off?
It's similar to that. It rhymes with that.
Luck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
funny. Yeah.
But so on top of all that stuff, then when the lockdowns happened, a lot of parents got to see the streaming stuff and kids at home and realized the crap that they're teaching our kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even teach. And then
No.
on top of it, you add to it the all this woke culture bullshit that they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And parents are waking up going, you're not even educated. Now, I'm proud to say all three of my kids dropped out of high school or exited, I would say. We had exit meetings. Okay. And my son, you met my oldest son, who is the head welder at his shop and runs one of the big machines to put the pylon pipes in. My other son, Vince, who's been on the show multiple times. You met him on the way. He's the one that came over really excited about the stuff you had. But I think
Okay,
both my
yeah.
boys grabbed stickers.
I mean, like, did they just do online or what? No.
They just, well, Al went to adult ed at a certain point. Vince ultimately took his GED.
Okay.
But he is now certified. He's a certified CNC operator and was working over at Brighton NC. He can do any machine in there.
Right.
You know?
I mean, but like he committed to something.
Oh, 100%.
But he knew that
It was well, here's when we went to Vince's exit, they said first they accused him of cheating because he would ace all the tests and not,
Oh, really?
not turn any homework in.
Wow.
So they put him in a detention room for 2 weeks and he caught up on a semester and a half of homework by himself. And they even tried to, do the test where he does the test for him and he went through and did the test. And I said, what do you want to do? And he said, Dad, I can't do this. It's he
I don't
can't
blame him.
And so we had this exit thing and they're trying to, well, what about this and what about that? I said, look, you should have recognized how smart he was and put him in accelerated classes. Instead, you marginalized him.
Right.
You want him to fit in your little mold.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he didn't conform to it, you accused him of cheating, which he didn't do. And he's proved it to you.
Right. And so my problem, and it's been on the tip of my tongue this entire time.
Yeah.
I talked to my wife about this the other day. I said, here we are having to figure this out on our own when we didn't go to school for 10 years, understanding the psychology effects of almost anything that life could potentially do to you.
Right.
And these people have, and not a single person stood up
Right.
to knowing that all of these things are happening to our kids and the effects of it. And some things they may not, but they know it's not good, right?
Right.
Not a single person stood up to protect these kids because of their career. And okay, look, I get it.
Yep.
I do.
Yep.
But when it comes down to our kids, like really?
We got kids
Like,
permanently damaged right now
exactly.
that can't, that are not speaking properly because they couldn't see a teacher's mouth when they're being
Oh my
taught.
gosh. I believe it. And so that's where I'm at. And I just had a conversation on the phone the other day. They hate it when I get involved in things because I'm just like, here, they'll have meetings with an IEP or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting at a table with all these people. I'm like, so none of you could figure this out?
Right.
Like, you mean there's not a single person here that
Right.
could like use their imagination, come up with a plan, work together? Instead, you guys are worried about like, you know, things that are just really just on, like, I don't even want to say it. Like, it's
I
so
deal
disgusting.
with Jazzy. Was dealing with her,
So-
and I dealt with my daughter years ago too, with algebra. Algebra they really struggled with algebra. And I would sit down with them. I go, look, it's just substitution. You're just putting letters into a formula, or letters are representing a formula, and then you just plug the numbers in and you work the formula, but they make it so complicated. One, they don't teach you proper geometry and
right
before you get
Yeah.
to algebra, so that you understand. I mean, I was so pissed off when I got out of high school and went into construction, and I'm like, wait, this is how you use the hypotenuse of a right triangle. This is how you use a squared times a
Right.
squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Yep.
And I'm on a construction site, and I'm just like, I could build a house. I like could cut all my rafters on the ground and hand them up to my guys. I'm like, how's that fit? And I might be off maybe a quarter, eighth of an inch.
Right.
But the rafter was fitting
it's
because
fun,
I
though.
measured.
It's fun if you know the fundamentals.
It is. And I was pissed because I struggled with math, right? And Nicole and Jocelyn both struggled with math. And
So you saw the practical application.
But practical application would have not been the algebra 2 and other shit that I was required to.
No.
What I'm talking about is like the geometry and stuff like that.
Right.
And I watched both these girls struggle with it, and realizing they were never offered a class on how to balance a checkbook.
Oh, of course.
They were never offered a
Right.
class on what
And they just move them on.
an amortized mortgage rate looks like, how to do your taxes, how to do an easy form of taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, they're putting you through algebra 2, and offering you some other shit that you'll never ever use unless you go into aerospace dynamics and you're designing fucking helicopters or something. You're never going to do this.
Right.
What are we doing with our kids?
Well,
What you just said is they're not teaching. They didn't pay attention to the effect that it was having on our kids to lock them down. And not only that, they're not paying attention to what actually they need to be productive in society for their own well-being. Not productive in their society so somebody else can use them, but being productive in society for their own well-being. Checkbook, taxes,
Well, one more
or
one more
understanding
caveat.
your rights as an individual.
Yeah. One more caveat is, did you hear the study of kids that were tested as geniuses in preschool, first grade, and then tested again when they're 15, freshmen, so forth? That the creativity and the problem solving,
it was squashed.
the creative problem solving that is the signs of genius were all markers in like 92% of kids before they got into school, and it was literally that school
destroyed it.
Indoctrinates out
100%. Well, that's
Yes.
the Prussian Prussian education system
Right.
is designed to not foster and create creativity.
Yeah, but to make workers,
but to make workers and isolate them into the
not
categories.
entrepreneurs,
Right.
workers.
My son Anthony is in middle school, and he has my bloodline. Like he's smart enough to understand what's going on, right? And he can't even explain it, but I know exactly what's going on. How are you going to take someone seriously when, whether it's the principal or your teachers, they have demoralized. They know, like in their minds, like I think that they're, like, you guys didn't do anything for us,
Right?
Now you've done. All of you people have failed us,
Right?
And now you want to step up and take you seriously, like, and they don't even. And the number one thing for him is my son Anthony. He's 13, just a super smart kid. He's not getting an education.
No.
I try to explain to him why
He's
it's
seventh
important.
grade, 8th grade.
Like why you got to
7th
wake
grade,
up early, setting disciplines in life. You might not ever use that in life,
Right.
but there's a lot of things you're gonna have to do in life,
Right.
that you don't want to do or whatever. But you have to build up from there. But like my son Anthony, he's not going to comply.
No.
You know, like they left them this. The whole COVID thing is
Yeah.
nuts.
Is that the one thing school teaches us?
Is what?
Hey, you're in school, you're getting up and go to it every day. It's the one thing you learn is you're going to have a job that you might not want to get up and go to do every day. That's what you're doing.
Well,
you're learning
there's that.
how to do that.
There's that, and there's also a lot of people that have studied education. I love who was the chick worked in the Reagan administration. She was awesome. I think she just recently passed.
I don't.
Name's escaping me.
I want to
Anyways,
say Margaret Thatcher, but no, that's not.
no, she worked. She was awesome. She actually exposed a whole bunch of stuff about the education system.
Was she ed sec?
I think she was Secretary of Education under Reagan. Anyways, she, along with a whole bunch of other people, one great thing to look at that I've cited before on the show is the greatest history lesson with John Taylor Gatto. You can look that up, John Taylor Gatto. You can look up the whole series, and it's a 5-hour series, but it's beyond that. It expanded it. I think it's on Grand Theft podcast. Grand Theft. Trying to think of who it is.
Reagan's EdSec was William Bennett, but I'm looking at the cabinet to see who was here. There was women. Murray, Casper, Frank.
Grand Theft.
Margaret Heckler
Nope.
was in her. She was undersecretary.
I'll think of it in a minute.
Anne McLaughlin.
Grand Theft World. Look up Grand Theft World. That is
Me or everyone?
no, I'm just saying out there. That's
Anne
on
McLaughlin was.
Richard Groves does it. He's the one that interviewed John Taylor Gatto.
Yeah.
The other chick that I'm thinking of, man, it's gonna.
Elizabeth Dole was Secretary of Transportation.
Yeah, she was awesome. The chick, once the name comes to me. Anyways,
Mary Ann Dawson.
the whole point was that what they cited, and came back with along this, that we're not. It's not only are we not educating kids,
Gene Kirkpatrick.
and not we're raising up to go to a worthless job. They literally look at it and say, if you look at the dynamics of it, sometimes yellow lines down the district, the bells going off, the other things, it is prison training.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
It is either internment camp or prison training at its most basic level. And it is some of the most, I like when I've dropped my grandson off, they've got bells at the school. They've got a few other things, but I'll tell you what, when I drop my grandson off and he gets out of the car, the principal, hey Gibbs, looks right over at him. How you doing, buddy? The other ladies that are out there with them, they're greeting the kids as they're getting out of the cars, and then the kids that are coming into school. And when I've dropped him off a little bit late, sign him in, they're like, oh, no big deal. He'll get it. And they just beep and go, yeah, Taylor's coming down to class, you know? And the dynamics are still there, but I'm very blessed that he's in the school he's in, and these people actually care.
And that's a great feeling, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I haven't had that yet. I would
Right.
love to
They
see
got
it.
they got a they got the dog in the front office that the dog gets to go to the different classrooms and just hang out with the kids depending on the day. And
Wow.
then it's in the office, and they got other pets in there around there. And so but they still, that's what I'm saying, is I'm blessed on that one, but there's still some of the stuff where I ask him, jump in the truck, and I'll say, where'd you learn today? And I go, I don't know,
Yeah.
But then a lot of days he's learned that, Grandpa if Grandpa's picking me up, he might have a question about what I learned today.
My daughter homeschools, and her kids only do,
They only do like
they
3-4
have
hours
They
tops.
have
Tutors?
tutors that come in.
Yeah.
Right, and it's only for a couple hours
Yep.
a day.
That's all it needs to be.
And they do all their work
Mhm.
within this window of 2 to 3 hours.
Right.
And they got the rest of the day to
Yeah.
the kid.
Well,
And
other
they're
book
all-
work.
And they're both
Well-
straight A students.
Well, here you are. You have this entire country. Adults are going through hardship, financial hardship.
Right.
Mhm.
They're not. They didn't even see it. I didn't even know half these things were even happening.
Okay.
Because I'm so concerned about making my payments and doing this, putting food on the table.
Mhm.
Like everything's starting to open up. And I'm like, my God.
Yeah.
Like if there was a way to distract us parents and everything, and trusting these educators to
You can't
at
trust
least
them anymore.
ethic,
Mhm.
on an ethical standpoint, do at least do that.
Yeah, you
They-
can't,
they
you
could- they
can't trust
failed
them
you.
anymore.
Yeah.
And they failed us. And
They're
so
too
now,
busy pushing pronouns
Mhm.
and trying to put boys
Um,
in girls' bathrooms, locker rooms.
we
and
have to.
showers.
I think we have to address this.
Do we want to transition to what do we think might happen with the I was going to say the dissolution, the dissolvation of the
Well,
Department of Education
I'm
at the
looking
federal
forward-
level.
I'm looking forward to that, but really,
Mhm. Passing it down to the state, and then because
That's
we're involved,
huge.
it's huge, but we're involved in a lot of
Mhm.
boards of education in our areas, and we see that that a lot of if the education came right down to the counties, that to have hands-on implementation of curriculum right down to where the parents could get involved in what books and what I mean, Texas is the biggest state that actually publishes most of our textbook, and they're just regurgitating shit that's not even true anymore. So
I learned in high
Very
school.
interesting.
I learned in what's your son in 7th or 8th?
yeah, I was gonna 15
8th grade.
8th grade.
Okay.
I learned in 8th grade, while I was in 8th grade, that there is no more. There's nothing more to learn about English.
Right.
Past the 8th grade. And even what you've learned in 8th grade, you could have learned in 5th grade if they'd have taught you
Mhm.
correctly. And so I struggled with the English class alone, let alone some of the other classes, of having any ambition or
That's
desire
tough.
to do
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
because I'm like,
Mhm.
all you're doing is regurgitating
Mhm.
the same stuff that I learned in 8th grade
Well,
that
they
I will
focus
never
on
use.
literature.
Well-
They might focus on literature or
Yeah,
something.
that's
but
all they
that's
do.
about it.
And they could do that.
Which becomes a liberal arts class, and they push their
But
liberal
they-
agenda.
they-
That's what
They
it
go
becomes.
so quick with that.
Yeah.
Once
Mhm.
again, here we are. If you have the fundamentals set in stone,
Yeah.
maybe perhaps it may not have been as challenging, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
you have isolated kids. But ultimately,
Okay.
we just need to expose this.
Yeah. Here's the
And
example.
naturally, what should happen will.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
people don't even understand these things are even happening.
Well, I think the
You know?
schools are going to improve once Trump gets in
Well, yeah.
and burns down the
Department
system.
of Ed.
Education. I
Well,
mean,
Here's
once
the
that's gone-
example.
that's a metaphor, by the way. No,
Yes,
Trump
not
isn't
literally.
actually going to set fire to the Department of
Uh,
Education.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Larry.
Just it's gonna be
Industrial.
exciting to
just in
see all
case
this.
the liberals out there are melting
Yeah.
down.
All right, what are we going to say, Tim?
No, Industrial Revolution.
Mhm.
Average education for the industrial worker was 4th grade, and they had fucking Latin in schools.
See,
Yeah.
I don't even know
Right.
where to go with
They
that,
moved
but-
from English onto Latin.
Right. Right.
4th
like-
grade.
I'd be like lost. Going,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I honestly think in this country we need to abolish these big schools, these big corporate schools. So you go back to one-room schoolhouses.
Yeah.
In each small pocketed community,
Mhm.
you empower the older students to teach the younger students. You shorten the week up. You give them skills training. You do all sorts of stuff. They criticize the workforces, and of course there was abuses of younger people. But I grew up in farming country from the time that I was 10 years old, and I'll tell you what. There were 8, 9, 10-year-old kids that could put anybody to shame today because they went out there and they worked their ass off.
Mhm.
They drove the combine. They drove the tractor. They did all these things. They knew all about this agricultural environment,
They're industrious. Yeah.
and they were industrious. I had buddies that I went to school with that have to get up in the morning and milk cows for an hour or two before they came to school.
Mhm.
What do
Yeah.
we have
Oh,
now?
Yeah. I've heard you mention this one room classroom thing, and I'm not bucking it, but let me just play devil's advocate real quick, because wouldn't that have to be only in communities of a certain population density?
No.
Once you got to a bigger population density, and
Mm-mm.
you're talking about literally so many tens of thousands of people in so many square, you're talking about having a one-room schoolhouse sometimes on every block of a metropolis.
Yes. Take
Every block of a metropolis.
correct. You
So wait.
eliminate the
So then attendance isn't necessarily required. Say it at one. Say that it's one-room schoolhouses where you check in as a student so many days a week at that schoolhouse to go learn lessons, and your lessons are tracked on where you are. Oh, learn at your own pace. That would be amazing. And
Well,
you could go
again,
to
there's
libraries.
there's a cool system. Some of this is based off of
Yeah.
a lot of it's based off of my stuff, but then I read
Sure.
my own thought process on this. But then I read another book, or I've read a couple books on this. One of them is called Bold, and the other one is called it's talking, the whole book is talking about we have more resources than we think we have.
Right.
And every time that you say that we don't have enough resources or
Yeah.
resources out there, somebody
Right.
invents a new way to maximize it. When oil
yeah.
was first discovered, they dumped the gasoline part of it in the rivers and streams because they thought it was a waste product
Waste,
until
right.
somebody figured out that it could be used in an internal
Right.
combustion engine.
I believe that these educators know what the right thing. I know in my heart,
Mhm.
just eye contact alone with these great people, they are silenced
Mm.
and they're forced.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, you know,
What, teachers
it's
unions?
tough to stand up to be. Well, they're teaching these kids in our schools. Like
Yeah.
I'm sitting
Right.
at the table on the phone with the principal, whoever it may be.
Sure, administrators.
Um,
Yeah.
Policy is the reason why we are where we are.
Yeah.
And it's money, and it has to do with federal dollars going into the school system,
Right.
all these different things that they have to, that have to endorse, and they don't, and it's just so completely out of control to the point where this naturally all had to happen.
Yeah, and you think about it, breaking down this, we take it out of the federal, we put it back to the states, and to your
Mhm.
point, Tim, playing devil's advocate,
Mhm.
I think in a subdivision,
Yeah.
you have one. Use the freaking. A lot of subdivisions have a clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
You use the clubhouse. All the kids come in there.
Sure.
They come in for a couple hours.
Sure.
They go.
Yeah.
They go back.
Sure.
Done.
Sure.
Now the money that they were sending out to do that,
Yeah.
that comes back to that community. You hire 1 or 2 teachers. You still use the big schools for community events, for
Gatherings.
sports, for other
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I
Like
know
a consolidated school district.
correct.
Yeah.
Now, that can happen the same thing. You think about these. We used to have Greek town, Polish town,
Sure.
Mexican town. You used to have these,
Chinatown.
right?
Mhm.
And exactly. You used to have these tighter knit communities, right?
Right.
You do the same thing there.
Mhm.
Then you coordinate with other people. Okay,
Mhm.
all right, you're in this community, which is tight knit. And maybe it's the Chinese community, or maybe it's
Or the Jewish or
the Jewish
whatever.
community,
Yeah,
whatever. Now you bring in somebody to come and teach once a week for a couple
Technology.
hours.
No, technology is there. We
Right.
do. We Zoom them in.
Correct, but
the technology is there.
but they
Yeah.
found that the hands-on
Person to person.
person to person
Oh,
is much
yeah,
more
yeah,
effective.
yeah.
In fact, they found that the peer to peer,
Yeah.
that when I have a teacher in a classroom, but then they have older class members that are there,
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
the one room, when they come over and help the kids work through stuff,
Right.
the kids, it's not
That's a great
just
idea.
learning, it's exponential learning.
Well, the
Okay.
saying is you don't know something until you've taught it.
And these,
Correct.
and are you a teacher?
Yes.
Well,
Yes,
I'm just
he
saying,
is.
like, you
Not
have an
licensed, but
education
yes.
degree.
No.
Here we are. We're coming up with all these fantastic solutions, right?
Mhm.
And you mean to tell me that people that go to school for 10 years
Mhm.
and know the effects of almost anything,
Yeah.
I could drop this on the floor and they could tell me how my kid would feel about that.
Yeah.
They couldn't have come up with the solution by now, or even
Oh,
I don't understand.
Why would they?
this. Like,
Well, that's because
it's just nuts.
they've gone through the same indoctrination at a collegiate level
yes.
that your kids are going
I can't
through.
even imagine.
Well, no. Understand, they're also a spoke in the cog of the wheel of the system.
Correct.
And have their union teachers are being
Yes.
pressured. They don't want to buck the system. They don't want to change what status quo is
Mhm.
because they're being given battles that are distracting them for different purposes and performance based.
But it all
education
backfired.
Well, you
was-
get your money's worth if you have like a student at Cambridge, because now that Trump won the election,
Yeah.
they now have crying.
Oh, they got
rooms
crying rooms. Yeah.
and with
Crying rooms,
cookies and hot chocolate.
Well, they've
and,
also got crayons
and crayons
True.
and
coloring books.
Well,
and coloring
technology
books.
has gotten out of control too. The level of technology and that these kids that are involved in, like, it's just
Right.
it's
But
insane.
if we harnessed it properly,
Absolutely,
they could be phenomenal. That's
I
what
would
I was
say
saying about.
say intrusive.
but it's
um,
out
not
of control right now.
intrusive.
There's no oversight on any of that stuff right now.
I was going to
mean-
say about when I mentioned John Taylor Gatto, that was one of the things he said.
Oh,
He was nominated as the Teacher of the Year. It was 1989, 1990, 1991.
yeah.
Okay, Teacher of the Year in New York City.
That's an amazing. That's a
Yes,
bold statement.
right. And after the third nomination, he quit. He wrote an op-ed and he resigned. And that's what the greatest history lesson with John Taylor Gatto is about, because
I think I looked that up.
he They didn't realize he wasn't teaching the curriculum that they gave him to teach. He said if I had
That's how
100,
he got the
he
reputation.
said if I had 120 kids, I was teaching 120 different curriculums.
Yep.
He said I
Okay.
had one girl, she'd come in and she'd be sleeping on her desk.
I can't wait to watch them.
And he would say, what's going on? She's like, well, I was up at 5 a.m. and down at the swim or down at the pool. She's like, I'm trained I want to be an Olympic swimmer.
Yep.
He's like, okay, your assignment for this semester, I want you to go through all the 5 boroughs and I want you to document every public pool, the chlorine content, the size of the pool, the locker rooms, everything like that. She's like, okay. And he said, of course, he would get the parents' permission, but that was her curriculum. And he said, by the 3rd year being nominated as this teacher of the year, people are coming to audit his class. They're coming to, these people want to find out why he's the best teacher, and they're sitting in, and there's only 25% of the kids sitting in his classroom. They're like, where's the other 75% of your kids? And he's like, they're out there learning.
Yeah.
He said, so I didn't have to teach this little girl about English and mathematics because while she's doing her research, she has to learn those skills in order to produce the paper. It got to the point where the public library came to her after she was done with that semester and wanted her research to put it in the library.
Yes.
And she came to Dr. Gatto and said, what do I do, Mr. Gatto? And he said, well, did you work for it?
Yeah.
She goes, yeah. And he said, then you need to get paid for it.
Yep, make it pay. Yep.
Yeah.
Make it pay.
This is, and
Research
that's just
grant.
one
Yep.
case. There was one kid, he would just doodle in class all the time. And he walked over to him and he said, that's not how you draw that. He goes, all right, your assignment, go down to the library and I want you to check out a whole bunch of comic books. And he said, look, they draw a box, but then the character's coming out of the box. His punch is going into the next box. And then, that box is doing over here. He said, the kid wanted to be a graphic artist. Yep. He says, then why is he sitting in my class learning algebra? Stupid.
Right.
He's like, so if I had 120 kids, I gave them 120 different curriculums. Today's public schools, they don't care. You either conform and comply to the box. And the number one thing on all of this is the love of money is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thinks of a rich person.
Yeah.
It's not. It's your poorest person who will sell their own soul out for that paycheck, for that survivor. Why?
Right.
Because Christ said, give us this day our daily bread. He understood that at the very lowest level, he needs to provide bread for us, because it says that in Proverbs, it says a prostitute will reduce you to a loaf of bread. That's that sustenance level. And so when these teachers get in there, they may have the highest ideals. They may be trying to overcome their indoctrination, but when push comes to shove and they think about losing their job, they're not an entrepreneur like you that says, well, I got laid off. I'm going to make some fucking sweatshirts.
Let's make some merch. Yeah.
I'm going to go sit on a corner and do this. I'm going to take care of my family.
Right.
The vast majority of people, they'll jab you in the arm. They'll hook you up on a ventilator. They'll do whatever they think they knew. Their conscience will be eating at them, but they'll indoctrinate our kids and they'll sit there. They know the answer. A lot of them deep down inside,
I know
but they're not going to speak up because that means paycheck.
And so now we all, as parents and as people have been, and the way I see things is most Republicans and conservatives, they're career driven, entrepreneurs that the last election they had, in order to get, they pulled the race car, they pulled this and that, they would have lost their job. They would have lost their business, to get involved in something that they really didn't even understand. Right. But now it's not like that. Like if they would have pulled the same stuff they did last time, there's business owners that didn't get paid for all their stuff because of civil unrest, right?
Yeah.
These are people that understand that, like, all right, well, we're not going to let this happen again.
Right.
So now everything's coming out and it's going to only get way more. It's good though. But it's going to get crazy for a minute. And Musk was right. Things are going to get kind of, the waters will be shook a little bit, but it's only because there's transparency. That's it. It's not because they're doing things, or it's only because they're opening the book, and like people like you, me, parents are going to be like,
what are we doing?
What are you doing? Like,
well, once the Department of Education falls, right. Once they're out, and they've needed to clean that and get rid of it a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think even Richard Nixon talked about getting rid of it, didn't he?
No, it was, I thought the Department of Education was I thought that was a Carter administration.
When it started, or who was trying to get it out?
When they federalized it. We've always had But when they federalized it and consolidated it
that
under
was,
under U.S. control, let's look that up because I thought
Oh, I know who it was. Reagan. Reagan talked about getting rid of the
Correct.
Department of
Yeah,
Education.
because he came in right after
but
Carter.
he never did it.
Correct.
But he never
Well,
did it.
they
That was-
shot Reagan in his first year, and instead of standing up and saying fight, fight, fight,
Yeah.
he did his best to focus on a few issues,
Yeah.
namely taking down Gorbachev and
Well, the thing
and
I like
communism,
about
you know.
the thing I like about Donald Trump is he's a man of his word. He says he's getting rid of the Department of Education.
Mhm.
They might as well leave now.
oh, 100%.
They
And
might
putting
as well leave now.
and putting Elon and
And what this is going to do
is it Elon and Vivek? Yes.
Yes.
Elon
Yeah, yeah.
and Vivek are they're gonna cut and slash. They've both
The EPA needs to go too.
100. Well, that's you've got
The EPA, the DOT.
Look at it like JFK. I mean, look at Kennedy. It's in his administration. I mean, here's a guy. He's just talking about what they're putting in your food. It's just disclosure. There's just, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "What the hell's going on? What do you mean there's red dye that can kill me or
Yeah.
going to cause issues?" That's
Right.
all it takes is just transparency and exposure. And like naturally, what is supposed to happen will.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know all these things are even happening, and it's going to get way worse.
Well, they say the yellow
people will
dye
stand
number
up.
5 is a byproduct of coal.
it's horrible, dude.
Oh, it's crazy.
I've been allergic since birth because of probably at 6 months getting my vaccines because my mom didn't know, but I've been allergic to artificial colors and dyes in foods since I was a kid. That was why I was attention deficit hyperactivity.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I've heard
And
a lot
the
about
colors
that,
and dyes would set me off because
Andrew
they're
Johnson, 67.
Andrew? You mean Lyndon Johnson? 67?
When the Department origin goes back to 19. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm reading small. 1867.
Okay, but
A federalized educational program actually goes back to 1867.
Yeah, but when was
Andrew
it-
Johnson signed legislation for
when
the
did it-
Department of Education.
when did it take over?
Take
Because
over?
that date you just gave me, that was still one room schoolhouses. They didn't have these huge.
1980, May 4th, 1980.
Okay, that's
That is Reagan.
that's the end of May
He was-
4th. Reagan was elected in 80.
80 to 80. Oh,
He was
yeah.
elected in 80. He was been sworn in 81, January of 81. So that would have been
Carter.
Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When they
Oh,
took over, when they
I had a
usurped it.
question. You had mentioned, oh wow, God, I forgot our guest's name, Clayton.
Yeah.
Yes, I just remembered about the technology being. You used the phrase "out of control," and here's the kicker: it's not out of control. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do by those who are in control and they know what they're doing with the technology. That's the problem. Is the technology that is. I mean, you're talking about your kids on their phones all the time. Or, I mean, what's your experience with the technology being out of control? AI, it's doing exactly what it's doing because that's exactly
No, you're
those
absolutely right.
who are in control want it to
Yeah.
do.
No, you're absolutely right.
The same system that can liberate the mind and bring you into greater understanding can also control the mind
Absolutely.
and manipulate
enslave the
and
soul.
enslave it. And it,
No, you're
and,
absolutely
and
right.
the only way to truly combat that is for everybody or as many people as we can to be actually awakened
Sure.
to that.
Red pill.
And that's what Elon's doing so phenomenally.
Mhm.
You cited really Elon coming into supporting Trump as a huge turning point, which is absolutely true. But I think the combination of him being on X, and I watched him walk it out,
Mhm.
buying X at a higher price than he ever should have bought it from,
Right.
and then bringing back incrementally. Well, he slashed his workforce 80% right off the
Mhm.
top,
Yep.
right?
That would have been a fun day to watch.
Dude.
man.
Yeah.
And he just, I know he just walked in there and goes, "What are you? You're useless. I read what you're doing. No, here's your pink slip. You need to go. You just need to move on."
You're
I
done
don't.
here. You can go now.
Everything.
Thank you.
But then he just came in there and he started figuring out. He's like, "Wait, why did we ban this person? Why did we kick this person off? Why did we kick this person off? Why did we kick?" I remember when
He
there was quite a
nice
few
about it,
people.
too.
What?
Elon.
Yeah.
He didn't. I'm just saying, like, yeah, he did a lot of big things, but he didn't go after anybody.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's
Right.
very like he's
No, he liberated.
Yeah, it's just,
He fired the workforce that
It
was
was
useless in
amazing.
his thing. But then he went, "Wait, why do we have Alex Jones banned?"
Mhm.
And then he found out, and he's like,
Mhm.
Oh, well, you reinstated.
It was Mark Dice, actually.
Yeah.
It was Mark Dice that posted on
Yeah.
X and said,
Hey,
here's
you
the facts.
reinstated me.
Yep.
Right? And Donald Trump,
Yep.
he's like, why did we ban the president of the United States? And that's one of his things when he stands up there a lot of times now in his speeches. He's like, I bought X. They had banned the sitting president of the United States from a social media platform.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
not free speech.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, he really,
So
I didn't really even think about that, honestly.
Yeah.
The X thing, that wasn't even a chain of thing, which it should have been.
That's
But
what got him on my radar huge.
it just he's a very respected individual.
Yeah.
That is extremely intelligent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That has done such extraordinary things that are, I mean, it's unthinkable. Like how he even figured out how to bring a booster back down to the same pad, reuse it again. Like it's just so.
Well, that's CGI.
But he's very humble, right?
That's
But
CGI.
he also owns a lot of satellites. I mean,
Yeah.
And
So the big thing for me on that too is what you've been doing with the sweatshirts is phenomenal. Is he came into an area that was just like the old guard media, the old crap media. They're not even. We call them the mainstream media, but they're not mainstream. Joe
Right.
Rogan's mainstream.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
Elon X is mainstream. Alex Jones
Right.
is mainstream. All of
And
these,
they're not even the popular media because
their
I kinda
numbers are
changed it. I
jokes.
call them the Main Street media.
Main
Right.
Street media.
Main Street.
But
media.
my-
I mean, it's,
My point on
But they're
that
the Wall
is
Street.
or the
because
libtard media.
he came into the same environment that the news, the fake news, is. He came in the same thing with the social media networks, which were all dominated, all controlled,
Mhm.
right?
Oh yeah.
Bought X. I mean, way over.
He was
like $40 billion.
Well, he almost wanted to back out, but then they caught him in a loophole that forced him
yeah,
to
that's
buy
right, I
it.
remember that.
Well-
and then he said, "You know what? I might as well go ahead because
Right, like, no
if
big
I
deal,
don't wait, if I don't buy it, they're going to ban me here shortly anyway." With what I'm
Right,
saying.
right.
So it's like,
Well,
yeah,
they were
let's-
pulling out stuff. My point on that is
Yeah.
what he did there not only opened, but exploded what you've done in 3 months, what the guy who runs the Trump train, what a lot of other people have done over these last number of years is, okay, you're going to take away our news. You're going to take away our social media. I'm going to go pound the street. I'm going to go on a corner.
Yep.
And I'm gonna have merchandise, and I'm gonna get it out there for people to be. And we started to see this. You know, I mentioned the grunt style T-shirts,
Yep.
right? That have stuff.
Yep.
Those are in Dunham's.
Right.
You know, I'm surprised that we don't have a lot more of the Trump stuff in there because they want to say. But you go through and you read half of the grunt style T-shirts, they're mega. They may not say MAGA, they may not have Donald Trump's face on it, but when it says I support the troops and or it says since we're relabeling everything, consider this a wireless or cordless hole puncher. You know, it's a gun.
Okay.
You know, it's
Yeah.
this is a cordless.
No, you're
but
right.
all
That's
that
good.
stuff, it's
Right.
like they're repackaging it and they're doing a good job. What you're doing, and a lot of other people with that really dove into the market, you're straightforward in their face.
I'm in their face.
100%.
Yeah,
And that's what
that was the
but
intention.
that suppression from the news media, from social media, social outlets, all right, that's what pushed people to go, screw it. And what that does is it fosters community, because you said a few times you've had some run-ins. But the vast majority of the time, you walk in wearing your jacket, wearing your hat, wearing one of the sweatshirts or whatever, and people go, "Hey, man!"
Right.
When I see somebody's sticker on their car, I want to go up there and beep the horn. I don't want to freak them out, but I want to beep the horn. And sometimes I'll look over at them. If they look at me, I go, I'll give them a thumbs up or whatever. But I want to like go, yeah. I want to like put a sign on the back of my truck that just, and I get past them and I just hit the sign and it says, "Yeah, you're a badass. Thanks for your sticker."
That's
something like
the
that.
way it is in the South, though. Like everywhere you go, that's the way it is. Honks and high, like you don't.
Yeah.
But like in Michigan, it's different.
Right.
Like when I came
Michigan's
home,
the
like
big blue state that got hammered the
Yeah,
most during
I
the
mean,
lockdowns. Yep. it's-
UAW. I mean, there's a lot of different elements, but like most of it was like very reserved.
Here,
Very reserved.
I,
But
I want to mention this. Michigan's a state where there's still conservative Bible believing men joining a men's Bible study and mentioning during the beginning a disclaimer that we're going to keep politics out of conversation. Michigan is still a politic banned topic in
It
men's
is.
Bible studies in the conservative sect, and
But
I'm
that-
like,
But that's
really?
But that's the
Come
cool thing
on.
about the t-shirts, the sweatshirts, the banners, the stickers, all that stuff is they're forcing the issue.
Yes.
They're forcing it back into the public. And you've got enough people. I remember there was a commercial just before I saw it like 2 or 3 days before election day. Now I know we have election month now,
Yeah.
but
Right.
2 or 3 days officially before election day, it was a guy walking through, and he comes up on somebody with a Trump hat, and then he keeps walking through, and he comes over and he sees somebody else with a Trump hat, and he goes, and he walks through and sees somebody else with a Trump hat, and finally the guy walks through the door of his own house, walks into his bedroom, opens his closet, looks up, and there's a Trump hat. He pulls it out, looks at it, puts it on, walks back out the front door. And you see that is the more people stand up. I was in a Dunham's during lockdown, and they had all the stuff. I refused to wear a mask the entire time. At one point, I had one of those socks on my neck.
Oh yeah, that's the
When
only
I
thing
walked
ever
in,
did,
when I
yeah.
walked into the courthouse to do my concealed carry, I had to go in there, right? And I said, "Well, I'm going to put this, neck sock thing on
Right.
and everything." And I stood there and did all of my paperwork, did fingerprints, did all the photos for my concealed carry. And 5 minutes before I was walking out the door, some other lady came in a full mask and
Yeah.
almost gloves on and stuff like this. And the lady behind the counter kind of freaked out because they get people spying on them, whether they're obeying the rules.
Right.
And she goes, she's looking at the lady in the doorway and she's like, "Can you put your mask up? Can you put your mask up?" I'm like, so I literally grabbed the sock thing and put it up
Right.
just over my nose.
I
That's
had,
the
yeah.
only thing I ever wore a mask for, according to the lockdown. Now, there were multiple times I was on a job site and I put my respirator on because I was sanding something that was actually going to get in my lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I remember on that pipeline? That was like movies was the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to get tested if you left set.
It's
Like,
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yep.
but that was
So-
ridiculous.
So I want to get into movies next, and let me finish this real quick story.
I was going to ask because we're about at that break time, which this was kind of a Sunday
Yeah.
show. I don't
You
have
guys
break.
good?
You
We
guys
need
going to just push through for another
We'll
25,
just push
30?
through. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
If Larry needs to go potty, we can shut him
Yeah,
off.
exactly. We can
Tiny
have him
bladder.
shuffle those
Tiny
cameras.
bladder.
I'm gonna have to like sit back there. I didn't want to let you talk. I'm talking to you.
Well, the
I'm
show's about you. It's not
Yeah.
about me. It's not like a Tuesday show. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'd
Right.
like to hear him talk about all the nice people he's met.
I want to do that. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
that's
let's talk
couple-
about the movies.
Yeah.
And let me finish this Dunham story real quick. Just because I know what you wearing your gear out in public and then selling the gear, setting up a kiosk on the corner or wherever you at, in front of a rally and doing that's phenomenal. That draws attention. That's a focal point and everything. I walk in during the full blown area of the lockdowns into Dunham's, not wearing a mask, and they had the signs on, mask required. I'm like, you know what? Kick me out of the store. Do it.
Try.
And I walk back through there, and there's this old Vietnam veteran, and I come across him, and I don't know what it was, a T-shirt, something. No, he had his hat on. He had a veteran's hat on. And I walked by him, and I was doing stuff, and I turned back around, and I said, "You know what? Thank you for your service." And he starts to talk to me. And it got to the point where he just like, he goes, "You're not wearing a mask." I said, "No, this is a joke, dude. This is a joke." And he goes, and he reaches and takes it off, and he goes, "You're right." And he puts it in his pocket.
Mhm.
And we just had a great 20, 25-minute conversation standing in the aisle in Dunham's. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a great.
All because I took a stand.
Right.
It opened the door. And that's just one incident. You took a stand. You got laid off. You're like, all right, what am I going to do? I don't know if you were in prayer. I don't know if you
I
they
mean,
just thought about it
I'm a very resourceful person. Like
Yeah.
I mean, having the licenses I have and this and that, like, but you know what? Like when I seen all this attack my children
Mhm.
and attack my family.
Yeah.
That's what drove me to do this.
Okay.
That's 100%. That's the only reason why. Like I had my father-in-law who's looking at me like I'm crazy. He's like, "What do you mean you're going to raise my family and sell merch and do this and that?" That was not the point. I
Right.
believe that God put me in a position to do something and make a difference.
Right.
And that's what I'm going to do. It's working. Cool. I could buy a few groceries. I can reach out. But the people that I was able to meet and just it was just phenomenal. It's a feeling every day doing that, meeting someone. I mean, and just
I stopped by, was visiting them, and we heard a horn, so we turned and looked, and somebody flipped us off and screamed
He
something.
gets a free sticker. They get free stickers.
They
when
get
I
free
do that.
stickers. I
That's why,
figured.
yeah.
Well, I don't think they were. Yeah, I think they were like, oh, that's Larry.
Right.
You do make a name for yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
Any story off the top of your head for it? We talk about movies that comes to mind of people that you met.
Oh man.
Or do we need to go to movies while you think about
I
it?
mean, so there was a Vietnam veteran and his wife that had stopped by, and you know, I thanked him for his service as well. I mean, I think he had, I forget what he had, the honor shirt where he had been in Vietnam, but like he was just very, very. You could tell that like he was just so excited that someone finally took a stand to defend the reason why he put his life on the line and his
Right.
friends died,
Mhm.
you know, and for our country.
Okay.
And that moment, like, I never charge veterans. Like, I mean, if I didn't know you were a veteran,
Well,
like,
except
but I mean, like, I'm not gonna charge you for a flag. Are you kidding me?
Right.
What you done? But like that moment, that was probably one of the biggest moments for me. It was just like, you know, just talking to him and hearing the stories he had to say about it. But like ultimately, it's our kids, man. It's making a difference. There's so many teenage kids stop by and just like, I could educate.
How
them
encouraging was that?
Like I'd always tell them, like, one day you guys are going to do the same thing.
Right.
You're going to have to stand up. You might be the only one standing.
Right.
And that's why the in the face thing started. When you go after my family, my kids like that,
Mhm.
I'll be in your face. And
Right.
that was the whole point of doing.
Well, that's
this.
why they're losing school
So-
boards across the state, across the
Mhm.
country.
So yeah, that's if I
Uh,
had to end with that I'd be happy with that. But it was great. My wife and I, we met so many, Larry, and I mean you, and so
yeah.
it's phenomenal.
This is your actual website, and I
Yep.
think so. I posted your link is a little bit complicated, but I
Yeah,
posted
the
it in the
square, yeah.
chat for everybody. For those of you watching restream tomorrow, it's in the comment section. I posted that in there. But check out this site, and I think you probably, as a secondary thing, put the website together because you're on the street, really, right?
Yeah, I do have a Facebook as well.
Okay.
And it's Re-elect Trump Gear.
Re-elect Trump
Yeah,
gear.
I forgot about that. But like,
I
I've been so busy with just like doing what I'm doing. Honestly, like
love that.
I had to learn how to do all this. And I'm
What's
like,
that?
you're-
Pray for Trump is awesome.
You're saying
right there in the middle.
you never went to school for marketing? Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't do it. No. Like, so like just putting this together and
I
understanding.
still love
how
that black
So-
MAGA one, right? The MAGA in the shape of Miller Lite, or not Miller Lite, but
High
Miller.
Life.
I'll add the. We have some holiday hoodies and some. things
Now
like
I
that.
remember seeing that one before somewhere. Do
Which
you
one?
remember seeing that one?
What's that?
The double fingers there with
The
Trump
you
and
missed right
glass?
there? Yeah, you know what? I
Yeah,
think that
somebody
that one's
wore
hanging.
that.
That one's
Didn't
hanging in
somebody
my
wear that
closet.
at on your Tuesday show.
Did you wear it?
The most
Yeah.
popular.
Because I
hoodie.
got one too.
You got one too?
That's the
Yeah.
most popular
I
image.
saw your
right
grandson
there.
with one today.
Yeah, you know what he said?
What?
Can I wear it to school?
Right.
No,
Nope.
Right.
no. But he
He's like,
walked
"Can
out.
I have this?"
He
I'm like,
walked out loud and proud, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's
those,
definitely.
yeah, that's great.
And this isn't everything you have. Did we bring up the hats? Or no?
There's just the one black
You have-
hat.
Well, you have the red, normal.
yeah. So I have the
But
red
you have the
MAGA,
dark MAGA.
We have the dark MAGA.
Are you doing it? Wait,
they
are you
call
doing
that,
me?
what do they call that? Murdered out, right? Isn't that what they call it when it's all the same color? When something's
I don't even know.
embroidered all the same color.
Black on black.
You know, when
Yeah.
we were going to the rallies, that was the only reason because
to go
like the
get a hat?
rallies was so huge, and
You
I
getting
kind of
hats?
whipped this out. But like I said, I mean, if I would have been involved in the whole marketing, website thing from the get go, I
Mhm.
could have totally blown it out of the water. But like,
Yeah.
having to make 50
Dude,
hoodies and 50
Right.
t-shirts and like then just the learning curve of that in itself,
Yeah.
Sure.
and putting the website together and like not even knowing how to do it, but did it,
Dude,
like blah blah
And
blah.
and
like,
your Wendy
know.
was what aspects did your wife Wendy dive into
oh,
it?
she makes them all. She makes all these.
Okay.
I just do I just make sure the images are there, and
Okay.
she's the one that puts the
She's pressing them. You guys
Yeah,
got
she puts the
a heat
beauty
press
behind
and stuff like that.
I'm not all the images where they are and all these.
How
hoodies, so
large
it's-
is your labor force? What size of
her.
order can you handle?
Wow.
Oh, I mean,
Okay.
not, just her and I, but like we didn't intend on doing this forever.
Of course.
There was never like a longevity type of thing. But
Now you are striking with irons hot. So I mean, there's some of these that'll be nostalgic, and you're going to have you should keep around for obviously, that'll be valuable, decades later,
Yeah,
and
I
heirlooms,
agree.
right?
So do you think you're gonna keep stuff going while you're up in Alaska? Or you guys gonna
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of dial it down?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because
No,
I'd love to see the website explode, and I would love to do it to where we make some of this available here on the show.
Absolutely. And so I haven't had time, but I have next week. I'm going to be going to Alaska. It's going to take me a couple of weeks to get to Alaska.
Okay.
And that's when I'm going to go through the whole technical thing with my wife, so she can upload different
Right.
items and
Right.
things like that. So yeah, no, there's a ton of stuff that's going to be added.
Okay.
You can click on the hoodie, that image, right? You can pick the color, you can pick the size.
Right. What's
and
with the
things like
bubblegum
that.
one down here at the bottom?
That bubblegum one is sweet.
Put your stuff on before you ask a question.
Well, it's funny
Um,
because he's in my
I
brain.
don't know. We just, that image actually, my wife picked that one out. It was pretty
It's just
popular.
just the bubblegum. I'm clicking
Yeah.
on.
That was a good image. It sold a lot of them, but
Can you zoom in because that looks like he's a monkey.
yeah, I'm telling you what, like
Yeah.
it's probably one of the highest quality images. So yeah, you can really like
Now,
see
is that
everything, so-
actually Trump or was it?
I
Trump
don't doubt it.
So
reference?
what's that?
I don't remember why or what the.
Just him blowing
Yeah,
bubbles.
we just pick these images we find and
Okay.
different things, and
Okay.
that was one my wife chose, and so it only lasted like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, on that one.
Okay.
Right.
That like we sold a lot of them, but like the You Missed is number one, I would say. Trump Girl was number two.
Yeah.
Trump Girl is a high
Girl
heel. It's a American flag
There,
high heel.
I like that one right there.
Yeah.
Which one?
The Trump Girl
Yeah,
hoodie
it's an
with the high
American
heels.
flag
Yeah,
high
the
heel.
heel. That's a very nice.
That's
image, yeah.
awesome. And it
So-
is a nice 5-inch stiletto. So I mean that is a
Right.
true Trump Girl.
And it's a fantastic image too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you told me that you've been taken to even with no matter what the image is on the front, you've been taken to putting the 47, 45 and 47 on the back on a lot of them, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we made it a point to put an American flag on almost everything.
Mhm.
Unless, like, for instance, we got the images at 2 p.m. and we had to get out there by 3 or
Sure.
something like that. Like, and we could only do the primary image. But
Yeah.
After Trump was elected, yeah, I mean, I'm making, no matter what, the red, white, and blue is always going to be on there, a flag.
Right.
So we like to always have something on the back. So everything is here. I know for a fact has something on the back. Doesn't matter what it is, but all of them have at least an American flag somewhere.
Okay.
So yeah, and honestly, that people love that the most.
And there's more to these than what you have on the
yeah.
website.
Oh,
I love this Thug Life, and I love this You Missed. You said your wife did that one?
She does them
The
all.
one that I'm
Oh, this
wearing
one
right here. This one that I'm wearing.
Oh yeah, yeah, she did that one.
Was she part of the design, or she did the?
No, we
Just the print.
We just buy the prints.
Okay.
Whoever designs
Because
them.
this right here
Yeah.
with the United States in the shape of Trump's name,
Mm-hmm.
and then the You Missed and his fist raised. It is, to
Yeah,
me,
well-
that's I mean,
Iconic.
even Facebook douchebag came out and said that was the baddest. He goes, "That's the most badass moment I've ever seen in U.S. history." Was
Yep.
Trump standing up like that?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, dude, this is
Nothing's
gonna
People
replace
talk
that.
about that for 10 years. Easily,
Yeah.
Oh, longer than that.
Yeah, 100%.
We still talk about Reagan getting shot, and
Yeah.
that was 35 years ago.
Right. I love this one. I'm gonna click on it. See
That's a great image.
what's the image behind.
45
What's
years
the
ago.
shape of that image?
It's like almost like they're just painting left to right, but like what I don't know.
Shit, I went too loud.
But it's a high quality image is what I was trying to get to. Like it really, the PDF file, like so the way they work, like
Yeah.
for instance, you could look at the MAGA, for instance. Like depends on how.
Oh, those are hands. That's what it is. So it's a sunset,
yeah.
and then there's
Oh,
hands
it's a
raised
fantastic image
with
so
Trump kneeling to pray.
very high detail.
Pray for, and you got the 2024 in there. Microphone, Larry. You got the pray for Trump in the 2024. That's
Mhm.
really cool.
Yeah, that's
like
great.
that.
I love that shirt.
It's not that it's a novelty per se, but what fascinates me is about the part that this is a snapshot in time in history.
Yeah.
and the fact that there's an opportunity to be
Par-
to immortalize that, well, as long as a t-shirt lasts, but you want one of the most famous phrases of all times.
Right.
I was there, I got the t-shirt.
Exactly.
Right.
I've got
Yeah.
I've got Red Wings championship shirts. We go out and buy stuff. You and I, when the Lions were in the playoffs, we went down and bought a hoodie that they made. They
Mhm.
were NFC champions.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Literally
like-
hit the rack
Yeah,
7
exactly.
minutes after the game was
Um,
called.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my lane happens to be Gibbs,
You
so
know,
I mean, I
we're
like
going
that.
right
cherish these items.
Exactly.
And I mean it. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like I had a lot of people brought stuff that they had purchased from the last election,
Mhm.
and I mean that's like, you try taking it from them and they'll fight you. Like I mean they cherish these items.
Yeah.
Like it was a
Yeah.
very.
Well,
So, yeah,
I mean,
it's,
you can see my memorabilia wall over there.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're here for the birthday party.
Yep.
And so, I mean, there's just stuff over there
Wow.
that like it's like these are cherished things. I think this white hoodie is going to be phenomenal to
Yeah.
deliver to Trump because it's just
Imagine when was World War II ended, what's the decade, so we're looking at
that was the mid 40s. That was
yeah
45.
so we're looking at
VE Day.
80 years since the World War, and
Yeah.
you have the Third Reich, and memorabilia from a movement like that goes, I have a Nazi youth pin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine 80 years from now, somebody's
got a
not that we're
pristine-
Nazis, but I have
Yeah.
a "You missed Trump" hoodie in my
Right.
closet.
Right.
Well, right. Yeah, and it's like no other too,
Yeah,
because all these are custom and they're
Sure,
not,
of course.
So like, yeah,
Well, back then they were hand pressing those pins
Yeah.
for each
Right.
of those
Yeah, you're
different.
right.
Well,
Yeah,
and
like,
this
I
is
have the
handmade
pins
shit,
too,
man.
like
Yeah.
like
Are,
up
are you
here.
doing cowboy hats?
No,
Is that a one-off?
That's a one-off.
Yeah, this one. I just
You-
bought this online.
Well, really?
Yeah.
You bought
My hair's
that one.
probably
You don't
so
make that
messy
one.
today. I went to come
We do
upstairs
hats.
and I thought I need to brush my hair and I didn't do anything with it. It's
I just love
right.
this cowboy hat.
Well, for our own PR and everything,
Yeah.
we'll have to talk. We'll have a conversation. You came in the studio. I was
We were all
engaged, and
busy.
we haven't had time. We had a birthday
Yeah.
birthday parties plural all at once today. So, but we'll have to talk. Our merch site has been down for a while, and I've been revamping our servers. I do other email marketing stuff. I've been trying to shift over so I could expand my operation into multiple fields. But Larry had mentioned something about you before we went back to we were working with the Big Frog Brighton for a while for shirts. A great organization. You hear their advertisements, and for everything, they're great. But we are currently looking for something that might be arrangeable. There a couple of shirts that I've designed. I design all our shirts. And make the designs themselves. See the purple and blue one hanging on the camera to your left, the righty right drinky drink shirt, the logo that's on Jeremy's screen behind him. I made his font with the brain and the egg and the motif.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, I make all those graphics. So when it comes to putting stuff together and working with you and your wife, is something that we're going to have a conversation about. So
Wonderful. Yeah, that'd
and
be
I
great.
can help you with your URL. Jeremy, what is his URL? Some gobbledygook.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, I just was curious.
It's re-elect Trump -6323338.square.site.
Yeah.
That means
Yeah, we got to work on that.
Yeah, it's a square site.
I know.
Yeah. We could eventually, if you were going to do something, because this is a nostalgic and continues on.
Yeah.
We're working on some arrangements
We can
for
definitely
what we're
help
doing
you
here.
100%.
About buying server space and might even host your
And I mean,
sites
the
for
way
you.
we do it too. I mean, I got it
Yeah.
down to where like I order
Sure.
my image, like I make it to where like it's 30 feet of images, 22 inches wide, to where
Sure.
it's cost effective.
Yeah.
And everything else, so.
We've got these two stickers up here.
Yeah, those
I
are
like
fun.
this one. I haven't seen a man beat a woman that bad since the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's awesome.
so
I
a guy
set
who
'em
makes all
there
my
so the
signs,
camera
Mr.
could see
Clint,
'em.
he gives me these stickers. He's so funny.
Yeah.
I set them there so the camera could.
Oh, the overhead?
The
Yeah.
overhead.
I just had to buy.
I don't know
I had
if
to get
I'm
those when I was
centered though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How optimistic are you
Oh,
moving
there's no
forward?
Zoom on the overhead. Is
No, but
No, we
you
don't
can
have
stand
Zoom.
up and hold them up to it.
Yeah, we can hold them up.
Oh, nice.
What's it
Yeah, I
say?
don't know.
The rules have changed. 2025.
You know, I'm gonna have to talk to him on how he just comes up with all this stuff too. I don't. Maybe it's
Well,
something he
that's the
found
thing.
online. I
Kind of
don't
what
know.
Tim's talking about is we've got a couple shirts here, but we come up with ideas all the time.
Oh yeah.
How to get them to market
Yeah.
Mhm.
has never been my. Well, we talked about it. I looked at a couple different things, buying this machine, doing that thing, and then you default to somebody else. I mean,
Well,
to
it's
do this
time and
design was
attention, too.
to do this design.
Yeah.
I know Tim spent a number of time mixing this and editing. You know, that Righty Right Drinky Drink show shirt, and then it took us, I think, another month before it was ready to be. Before they got it digitized, and we sent it over the way they wanted, and
Right,
digitize it and get it. And you know, it's like, dude,
I know it's like the mental power that it takes to just.
Yeah.
And so like you're looking at my URL, and I'm like, that just makes. I'm just like, shut it down. Like it's just driving me crazy hearing that. Like,
Mhm.
but you're like, you can
No,
only do
that's-
so much.
But
You
I
can
see
only-
where your expertise
know.
are. You know what I'm saying? And you're tapping into people with your sticker guy with their expertise, and I'm going, well, dude, Tim does phenomenal websites, connections, stuff like that.
Yeah,
you
that'd
know,
be
he
great.
picks up URLs, and then he's like a year later,
I
he's
have
like,
30. I have
he goes-
34 URLs.
he's like, oh, I forgot
I
I bought
can't
that
wait
one.
to talk to you then.
Yeah. And so to do, you know, and you can take what you have right here, just have a URL, mask it,
and redirect. Yeah.
redirect it
Yeah.
with like, you know.
Okay.
I can have you on a URL this evening.
No,
and-
that's amazing.
yeah. So I mean, those are the type of things. But this is phenomenal. You're going to be gone for 6 months, but you're going to be still in communication, right?
Oh yeah.
Your
for
wife's
sure.
going to be keeping the
But
Yeah,
they're
she's doing
five
the
a
hours.
truck
job. My
train
wife-
running.
They're
My
5
wife-
hours behind us, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I am working days to start, but I mean,
What's that?
my wife is
6
amazing.
a.m. to
though.
6 p.m. or days?
I'm sorry.
What is day? What's the day shift? 7 to 7.
Well, I
6 to
didn't work
7?
days last year, so I have to think about that.
I prefer a
I think we
36-hour
start
day.
at like 6, 7 in the morning.
Sure.
There's a bus. You get on a bus from camp, and we all ride in a bus.
Now, is there really a difference in Alaska that in the wintertime it's dark year round anyway, right?
Not year round.
No?
No.
I mean dark. I meant 24 hours a day all winter.
in the yeah. So like when I
That's
when I
what I
worked
meant.
nights
Yeah.
last year, it was I didn't see the sun for like 3 months at least.
How'd
Because I was
Did they have
working
a tan-
nights. And
Did they
then,
have a
you know,
tanning bed where you could get a little bit of a?
Oh man,
you get your vitamin
Was
D?
it vitamin D deficiency?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
People go crazy.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't realize it was that. Like, no, it's real, man. They
Yeah.
sell vitamin D there. Like, and if you go
Mhm.
up there, you have to have it.
Yeah.
Oh,
But,
that's crazy.
I think yeah, it's 12-hour days. So like, starts when you get on the bus, 6 to 6. I'm hoping, or 7 to 7 usually,
Okay.
or whatever. So
Right.
yeah, and I could still network and stuff, especially once I'm back.
Oh
at
yeah,
base camp.
100%.
So yeah,
But you're doing what you need to do, and I'm sure that's a pretty lucrative.
Mhm. And where's home again?
I'm sorry.
Where's home again?
I live in Milford, Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
That's where my guitar player lives.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, he's not far from here. So like,
So the
Did
wife
you-
and the
did
kids
you-
are here, local. So you're
Yeah.
good.
Did you
Yeah,
talk to?
she stays at home.
Okay.
She takes care of the kids, and
You met Tommy when you were here for my birthday party, didn't you? My guitar player was standing over there.
oh, I did. I don't know if I had met him, but I did. Yeah,
you-
I seen you guys playing, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a great.
Wait
time,
a second.
yeah.
Your oldest is 15?
that's
Well,
your son,
we have
right?
5. My oldest is 22.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And you
So-
said your youngest 10?
My daughter 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
You got 10,
Yeah.
13, or
Well, we
15,
just had-
23.
3
10,
birthday
12,
parties
14,
today.
18 or 19.
Yeah.
And 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
My oldest grandkid is 11.
Oh, really?
And I have 2
Wow.
that are 11, both 11.
how
Do
old?
you spend a lot of time with them?
How old's
Yeah, they
the
were here.
little-
They were.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
bouncing
awesome.
out when
I
they're.
like to
Yeah.
hear that.
This
Your
space
grandson
behind
that
you
was
is
here today,
available
what's
for
his
parties
name?
for your kids, by the way.
How old's he?
I'm
7?
in.
Your grandson
I'm
that was
in.
here today, with the shirt.
That's Bubby. He's 11.
Bubby,
He
that's
turned
11.
11 in October.
He's really that old.
He's 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hopi turned 11 on the 9th of November.
Wow.
And then William and Jocelyn, who are my kids through circumstance. William's birthday party was today. He's 16, and Jazzy turned 17 last week. So yeah. And then my oldest son, you met with the long hairs.
Yep.
He's 31. He'll be 32 in March.
What?
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's 32 to me.
He's good.
Doubt that
Good
hair.
looking.
Wow,
you know,
that's
well, and Taylor's.
I would have
gotta
thought
be
like
30.
22, 23.
No.
Damn.
Yeah. No, my kids are 31, 29, and 28 right now. Vince will be 30 in December, and then Al turned 32 in
My oldest
March.
is 40.
Well, you are.
You're old.
I mean,
You said 40?
40.
yeah.
How much? I think I'm 43. 43? Yeah.
So you had one come right out of the barn. If you're got a 23-year-old and you're 43.
Well, I married into that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I started having kids at 27, I think, 28.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started having kids right away. I was like, you know what? Let's do this.
I didn't even think I was ever going to have kids, I'll be honest with you. But
I was on an online dating site the other day. I might have
Oh,
kids next
stop.
week. I'm not joking. Who knows?
Any?
I don't have.
I want to sign. Did we
just
grab
do
the
the overhead
marker? We
for
didn't grab the
sign, and let's
marker?
do sign some shirts.
We didn't grab the
I don't know.
marker.
Sign that
Well, there's one
hoodie.
right here. There's a red one.
You want to?
Let's find a good Sharpie in there.
What color? Isn't there a
I'm gonna
black
keep
one?
this. This is your contact here.
Do we get to sign the white?
Yeah, we're gonna sign the white.
Larry, you want to grab that?
Can you find a black one in there, Larry? Or you know what? Are we set on the black?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay,
Fine.
because I'll do it. Let's get that one over here, Larry.
Now we know that's sized for Trump. Like you could wear it on TV one day.
Oh, yeah. That's a 2. I think it's a 1 or 2X, I think.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
All right.
you
So
got-
one thing we wanted to do, right? Is
No, you want to write it across so people can read it when he flips the hood up, right?
that how we're doing it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm practicing.
I
Well,
think
maybe he can wear it on the podcast. You know, when he
Yeah,
comes
when
to
we
see
get
you.
Trump on the podcast.
Yeah.
You're asking.
Wouldn't that be
a lot.
amazing?
Yeah.
This
Right-
is
right
my
there?
brain.
I know,
I
but do
was
we want to
thinking,
do?
This is my brain. Put it where the
Yeah,
brain
he.
goes,
That's why
man.
he wanted it
That's
on
what
the
I
brain.
mean.
I would
That's
put
why I got it all.
Oh, up here.
flat. Yeah, up here.
As close
All
to
right.
the brain as you can make it.
All right, I'm gonna do it right there. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Get your Trump gear from this guy. He's got all kinds of cool stuff. He's got cool signs. Patriot.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about.
He likes the Heartland area. He hangs out in the Heartland. Drive up M59.
Well, yeah, I think this is supposed to get cold, so I think the hanging out thing's probably going to come to. It's probably stop today, honestly. But we're still we have customers, we have people that
Right.
call us and type whatever, but just to stay involved, But I think this is going to, honestly, I really believe that this is going to transpire into different things other than just doing the merch, in my opinion.
Right.
I really would like to get involved in a lot of different ways to make a difference in my kids' lives in the near future. So
They'll figure it out, Larry. We're on all sorts of platforms.
Uh-huh.
I want your signature on there.
Eventually, we might just stream from our own site. We'll actually have our own site. And
Yeah, because we have not
Our
mentioned
own
Sandy
network.
Hook whatsoever, so we won't
No.
lose our site.
exactly.
It's nice to have
You mean that
Alex
false
Jones
flag?
back.
oh, I heard about that. They
Yeah.
need to-
They cut him down
Yeah.
straight up.
Mhm.
Sign this one, buddy.
Yeah, they did.
Keep that one, Larry. You're gonna sign.
Alex Jones is done.
No,
Dude, you haven't
The
been paying
site's-
attention?
the site was only down for 2 days. The judge came in and said you did not do this auction legally or lawfully.
Mhm.
Alex
he's
Jones
back.
is back.
Yeah, you didn't pay
100%
attention?
Back
Yeah.
in his studios, and the judge told him to go themselves.
Yeah. And the federal-
Oh, yeah.
Did he really?
No,
no.
I didn't hear
Larry,
that.
yeah, Larry, the federal, what do they call them? The guy that handled the case?
Larry,
What do they call those guys? The federal,
the bankruptcy judge.
no, the guy who handled
Oh,
the case,
the-
federal administrator or whatever.
Yeah, whatever the appointed administrator.
No, he
So
ended
did
up.
he just dismiss
what
the
was
bank?
it?
The whole
Larry, I'm telling you, pay attention. The federal administrator that had the case literally calls up Alex Jones and completely apologizes about making the mistake and didn't know it was all legal. He doesn't want to go to jail. Here's your studio back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They literally came into the studio, bum rushed it with armed people, shut the feeds off. Alex already has another studio set up ready to go. Yeah, you gonna sign?
What about Infowars? Is it down?
That's no, it was down.
Back up
It was
too.
down for about 2.5 days
Wow.
because they came in and shut it down. They emergency meeting to the judge, and they kicked it right. It's all back up. And Alex
Is that
is like,
permanent?
I didn't even know it happened.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. We've been watching because he was announcing for about, I don't know, a month or so the deadline that they were going to give for the auction.
Yeah, because he got sued for a lot of money. And
Yeah, it was all bullshit.
Yeah.
What do you want?
You mind if I do something different?
Go ahead. You're Tim. I didn't expect you to comply.
when he doesn't have the hood up.
Yeah. I think that's going to work. Okay. So yeah, that Alex Jones is back up. I love it. And they overstepped. The thing about it too is he's got a bunch of appeals and other independent lawsuits that are coming out that are about to really rock this, because all the cases was just lawfare. Same what they did with Trump, same what they did with Roger Stone, same they did with General Flynn, same they did with Steve Bannon, same they did with all of them. It was all lawfare. Whatever arena it was in, it was all illegal stuff that they did, to try to destroy somebody's character.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just freaking crazy.
I mean, this and really, since he's been back on X, since Elon brought him back on X, his numbers have just continued to explode.
All that.
I'm
gonna look into that because
it's right. If you go to Infowars.com, right on the front
Yeah.
page of it, he's been on there telling the story, because they were off. They literally got shut off air. You would go to Infowars and it would say site is unavailable until further notice.
And it was a Thursday. Was that the Thursday or Friday?
Mm,
And then they moved over to the other studio and fired up and did either one day or
No,
2
I
days
thought
of
it was-
broadcast.
I thought it was a
Wednesday?
Wednesday,
It was a Wednesday. Okay.
and they did not miss a beat. They were up on the Alex Jones network.
Yep.
On time.
Yep.
For the Wednesday show.
Yeah.
And broadcasting to not those original URLs.
But they moved their satellite links.
They moved their satellite
Yep.
links.
Yep.
They had the radio stations already had contracts in place. 400. He's been adding radio stations left and right. 400 radio stations kicking up, dude.
Yeah.
The coolest thing that's coming out right now
right,
is
like it completely backfired. Like to something.
100%.
100%, dude. 100% backfired on them. Yeah, and all this stuff's going to continue to backfire on them. They're just
Right.
Well, the
I
Onion.
mean, look at the laptop right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Wait till all this stuff comes. That's just gonna be.
Yeah.
I was mentioning earlier today, the Onion, who was trying to purchase it during the fake auction or the not real auction, was backed by the anti-gun organization, Soros's anti-gun organization, with the agreement to pay whatever was needed to outbid everyone else on a future date based on other income Alex Jones was going to be sued for future incomes. So that's what they tried to finagle to get it, just for the sake of making the Onion this joke broadcasting network of fake news, because they believed that Infowars was fake news, as one big IRL meme. And one thing we know about the left is they can't meme. So it all fell apart.
Well, the crazy thing about that is, we talked about it. It was supposed to be a bankruptcy auction.
Auction.
Which is supposed to be open. You're literally, if it's an auction, you bid, I bid, you bid, I bid. To be a bidder, you were supposed to submit a qualifying a proof of funds.
Proof of funds, yep.
And there was another qualification, like that you were legitimate.
Right.
2 days or 3 days before the auction was supposed to happen, they changed it to a private auction. Just submit your highest bid and we'll take the highest bidder, or we'll take the best bid, is what they said. The Onion never submitted proof of funds. They never went through the vetting document that they were legitimate. They tried what Tim just said. They tried to put up as collateral any future earnings from Alex Jones.
From Jones,
It was all a joke. It was nothing about it was legitimate. The group that Roger Stone set up submitted proof of funds, did the paperwork, did all this stuff, and was the highest bid. And they rejected that, said it wasn't the best bid. And then bum rushed the studio the next morning to shut it down. I'm watching Alex Jones live on air while they're in the back room. He went on Steve Bannon's show, simulcasting. They had his feed, he has his feed. And Steve Bannon's like, Alex, go into the control room right now, put a camera in their face. You need to expose these people. Yeah. As soon as they got the website taken down to where it was no longer transmitting, they retreated and left the building. As soon as they got the websites knocked down. Alex continued to be on air, jumped into the other studio, down the
I'm gonna have to
road.
watch this because
And
that's
boom,
just amazing.
yeah. And now the judge, they did the emergency appeal or emergency meeting with the judge, and the judge says this was all fraudulent from the start. You didn't have qualifying bids. You didn't have
And that's why these people are bailing right now.
100%.
They're
Well,
bailing like I've never seen before. They're firing themselves
they are.
from what I'm hearing. But
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
I think we are going to see a big ball of manure running down a hill for the next couple of years.
Well, and Trump has said yes.
Yes, and it's gonna stink.
Well, Trump has said it very articulately. It's not about revenge. It's about going after legally and lawfully these people who have
Swamp creatures.
they're swamp creatures that have ruined people's lives.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure,
They've
look at
literally
what they
ruined
did-
people's
look what They
lives.
did to the January 6th.
Every one of them
gunmen.
should be pardoned day one. Every single one of them.
Right.
And I heard somebody,
Yep.
I don't know who it
I thought
was.
he was going to pardon them. But
Well, somebody was talking about it, and they said, I initially said, pardon just the non-violent. He goes, I've reached a point where I don't even know if there was any provable violence committed. He goes, I was reluctant to just say pardon them all, but then I got into a certain point where I'm like, no, just pardon them all, because this was a travesty from top to bottom, and you can't tell me you did anything. This is worse than OJ's glove type of fuck up, where you tampered with so much evidence to try to prove this guy instead of just presenting what you found. You could have just presented what you found and went on that. Instead, you for lack of a better term, you trumped it all up against these people. I mean, all the guys from the Proud Boys that were never even there.
right.
And the jurors come out and go, well, the lack of evidence is
I
the
mean,
evidence.
there's people that had nothing to do with it that just showed up. I mean, they're in jail.
Right.
Like at the white. Like
Yeah,
I've
but
seen
here's
stories
the
about it, but-
problem with the pardon is I don't know. I was told you have to, if you accept a pardon, you have to admit wrongdoing.
I don't believe that.
I don't even know.
I don't believe that.
I don't know.
And-
I
and
don't know
I
that
posted-
I don't know that it's true. That's what I was told.
I posted on X the other day. It was
Well, it doesn't have to be pardoned either. It could just be dropped.
Well, see, all
Drop the
these
charges
people-
and pull the
all
DOJ
these
back.
people
Right.
need to sue the government. That was prosecutorial misconduct.
100%.
They
Sure.
oppressed. They got people from January 6th that are still sitting in jail that didn't do anything, and they haven't been to trial
Well-
yet, and it's been 4 years.
Anything that was during January 6th, in my opinion, what happened that day, the highlights of that day,
Mhm.
was either encouraged
Yes.
or it was staged. 100%.
Sure.
100%.
They
So,
opened
like-
the doors and let
Right.
them in.
So
Yep.
like they
Do you remember?
Set it up to where
you
they
remember the
went
guy
here
that
and did
was?
this
I
and-
call him the Grand Poobah
Right.
guy.
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The guy with the
What's
big
his name? Bruce or
Fred
something?
Flintstone hat.
right, you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
the-
with
Jacob
the horn.
Chansley.
Yes,
talking about the one with the
Jacob
horns?
Chansley. Yeah, the
Yes.
guy with the
Oh yeah,
horns.
yeah.
The
Yes.
cops were walking around, open the doors. Here, look in
Right.
this room. Hey,
He
look
was
in this room.
was
They
correcting,
asked him, hey, can I go up there and pray? Go ahead.
and
Mhm.
he was correcting other people who were not doing anything malicious, but were getting to go. He goes, "Hey guys, come over here.
Respect that.
Just
Yeah.
respect that."
Yeah.
That's what that dude was doing,
Well, I
Jacob
mean,
Chansley.
Nancy
Tucker showed
Pelosi
them.
could have stopped all of that from even
True.
happening. To begin
Tucker
with.
showed all that footage.
So-
Yeah.
Well, Tucker was about. He
And it was
showed
her
some of
damn
it, and he
job.
was about to drop more footage, and that's when they fired him.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I do. Yep.
Yeah, there was somebody on X the other day that posted about, should he? The question was raised. It's probably not my bookmarks, but it was anyways. The question was raised: should President Trump pardon all the Jan 6ers day one? And I said yes, with the caveat that they have full, unfettered ability to launch a class action or individual lawsuits against malicious prosecution.
Yeah, from the DOJ.
Because a lot of times you don't have to admit guilt for the pardon. In fact, I don't think that, but a lot of times what happens with the pardons and why sometimes presidents don't give pardons is because people say, I want to fight this. And a lot of times when you give a presidential pardon, you remove the ability to then go after you just like wipe the slate at that point. And a lot of people there go, you know what? I want these people to be held accountable for what they did to me in destroying my life.
Right.
So
What's the other thing is called when it's like a stay of execution? It's not a pardon. It is a
Vacate.
You talking about when they just commute the sentence?
Thank you. Commuting.
Yeah.
Commuting the sentence and remove the
Right.
charges.
The part of the problem with
Yeah.
that's a step, but part of the problem with that, if you commute
Mhm.
the sentence, and you don't give a full unconditional pardon,
Mhm.
you don't remove the
Indictment.
the conviction,
All right. So
and the conviction will restrict all of those people. If they don't do a straight pardon,
Commuting the
it won't
sentence.
move them back into be able to legally and lawfully purchase firearms.
what if and I'm just saying, what if the information does come to surface that that election was manipulated, right?
Oh well, yeah, it already
Would
has.
wouldn't you say that would be a very nice way of responding? What had happened? Other than, I know that there are people that,
Oh yeah,
there was a lady that died, and I don't know her name, and I don't, no disrespect to that in any way, but you know, wouldn't naturally think that would people would have to believe that that would happen if you think that your vote doesn't matter, and you know,
Well, the
and
events
then-
of January 6th and the election being being denied or the result of the election being challenged are actually two different things. The insurrection faked, or as it were,
Mhm.
at January 6th had absolutely nothing and little to do in response of the vehement respond of a crowd of the election being rigged and overturned. There wasn't anybody at that Capitol who was
you're right.
doing the actions they were doing, saying this election was rigged, storm the Capitol. Nobody was there that
No,
was
you're
doing
right,
that who wasn't paid by the FBI.
correct. The request that was being made was a legal and lawful request to have a stay of certifying the electors,
Okay,
which is a
yeah.
constitutional 10-day
Yeah, my
stay
apologies then,
to
yeah.
examine the everything. But you're right. When this comes out and everything's proven that that 2020 was a fraudulent election,
Mhm.
then everything after that needs to cascade and people need to be held accountable. It's just as it said, Alex Jones was one of the biggest one. Nuremberg too. This needs to be not only with the election in 2020, but also with the jabs and Fauci at the forefront of that. Nuremberg too. It's like this needs to go down the line.
Nuremberg too, yeah.
And those higher ups, we don't see the higher ups, right? You got a 1,000 guys sitting in jail for having a couple ounces of pot, and then they legalize pot, and they never went after the big traffickers. Many times they became informants, or they worked with the CIA, or they became, it's like this war on drugs was just penalizing everybody sitting there in January 6th. They need to be released. Go after Pelosi.
I didn't even know they were still in jail. I mean,
there are people serving
my
20
gosh, you kidding
years.
me?
Oh,
Yeah.
so I thought that they didn't even have trial or anything. I thought
They were kangaroo trials, just like Trump's trials,
Wow,
just
of
like,
course.
yeah. I pulled up your thing
that's crazy.
to kind of end us out here.
Sure.
The jacket that you're wearing is right there. I pulled up your Facebook page on there.
Yeah. By the way, when you said Nuremberg too, I thought you meant Nuremberg also, and I was like, that's a little long ago. Why would you want to still try to do that?
No.
But I was going to make the point that unfortunately, a lot of these things
How much
go.
is that jacket?
He's not
Sell
selling that
more of
jacket.
those, or is that
No.
This
It's
is
a
a
one-off.
Yeah.
They all might go the way of
One day he may auction it off for several
Yeah.
$1,000s.
that would be nice.
This is my baby.
And you won't get it.
All of those details might go the
Won't
way.
fit me anyway. I need a bigger one.
All those details might go the way of Nixon
can make
didn't
one.
know.
Right.
The problem is Nixon didn't know about what was going on in Watergate, which didn't matter, which means he could have probably prosecuted the people who were doing it under his rule, but he bit the bullet, and Nixon could have kept in office and prosecuted those that were being unruly in his cabinet and that were doing that. But Nixon didn't know, got swept under the rug, and nothing's ever going to be done about it.
Right.
So there's
Well,
details about Jan 6 that
correct
will never be dealt with, and people are just going to move on.
Well, I understand that, but I also understand that Nixon was surrounded by people that wanted him out. Nixon, aside from Reagan and Trump, is one of the most popular. I think he was the most popular elected for a second term. I think he has the highest
popularity vote.
Vote of any president in the last 80 years, something like that.
And now he's known as Tricky Dick.
Sure.
Yeah, and the reality is, the two guys that broke into the office that were supposedly there for him, actually were CIA and did it to set him up. And Nixon's problem was he tried to cover it up because he felt that it was his responsibility, over, even though he didn't order these guys to go in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he
But-
just, he got totally burned on that.
He got
Yeah.
totally burned, and they wanted to remove him because he was making huge roads.
And
He opened up
yeah.
China. He opened up China relations with China. He opened up a whole bunch of things that they didn't want to
So
do.
yeah, you could tell.
He was
like,
getting us out of Vietnam.
and at that point too, like after that, like you could see the depression in his eyes. You
Mhm.
know,
Oh shoot, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and just
heard
like
him.
he kind of just like had
After that Frost interview, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's crazy.
So this is your
Um,
Facebook.
There's your Facebook. There it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun.
nice.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
great times. Made some cool videos. And I mean, my wife and I, we had a
I
good
Oh,
see
what's
this-
the Starbucks logo?
Yeah.
Where?
That looks like a Starbucks logo. The way you had Trump in the middle of that one.
All right.
Oh,
It's like
Do you do any of the glassware?
I'm sorry.
Do you do any of the glassware?
mugs,
Mugs or anything like that?
tumblers.
I can have it done. I haven't.
I
done
saw
it.
that one.
They're
Well, the
expensive.
reason
Did
I
you
asked
see
is
the
because
one
the
with the
collection right
bullet?
here.
Mhm.
The collection right. I didn't see the one with the bullet, but I've had ones with the bullet. But this one right here, this Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, I didn't bring that one. I have a T-shirt.
I thought it was going to that photo. There. They've got a version of that
Nice.
as a Jack Daniels. Like it's in the Jack Daniels style, but just like that
Mhm.
on a tumbler
Okay.
that they're selling right now. And I'm like, I want those because I
And they're expensive too. I mean, people are paying like $50 for those things.
right. This
Oh, yeah.
was I got a 4-pack of these from InfoWars, which they don't even sell anymore. This is my last one.
Oh really?
Yeah, they've gotten broken. And the Milan Lobby and then the Don't Tread on Me with the InfoWars. And I love it. It's a heavy duty, nice drinking tumbler.
Yeah, it's
But,
like when we first started too. Like a lot of those shirts and stuff. That's when I ordered stuff, and I was like, yeah, we'll just see how it goes. And
I
then-
like that. The
yeah.
fine Pilsner, the
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. Cool. Well, it's
Yeah.
been a pleasure, Clayton. I really appreciate you coming
Yeah,
out.
I had a great time. Yeah, it was fun.
Everybody out there, please like, share, and subscribe. Do all that jazz for us. We know most of you will be watching Restream because you weren't expecting us, and I didn't have any pre-advertisement for the show
The
tonight.
hidden late
But
night
you guys
Sunday.
will check it out
Mhm.
tomorrow, and we appreciate all of that. Larry, anything else before we go?
No, we're gonna have a great show on Tuesday night, so everybody needs to tune in for.
Of
our
course,
excellent
I'll be
of course.
tuning
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
have
we'll
show
be
Tuesday?
working. Maybe we might even have something worked out by Tuesday for maybe
We'll see.
some promos for some gear.
Yeah.
Straight up from Reelect Trump. We're gonna get him the correct URL. But right now you could go
that'll
to
happen.
Reelect Trump Gear on Facebook, and it has the website redirect right on there. Reelect Trump Gear. The Reelect Trump is one word, and then gear is a separate word. Go to that Facebook page. You'll see a whole bunch of the merch, a bunch of videos on there, everything like that. And then you'll be able to be redirected directly to the website. Can you do purchases from Facebook, or you have to go to the website to do the purchases?
You have to go to the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can click right on the website there, and it'll take you to. Did I click off of it? I thought I was still on
That's
it.
okay. I'm not on
I'm
it
hoping
anyway.
that's fixed.
Oh no, I did. It's right there. No,
I
I was just on there it is. So there, I remembered and I typed it in. So you guys know, talking about education earlier,
Yeah.
Charlotte Iserby.
Oh wow!
Charlotte Iserby.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
She was the gal that, let me see. Charlotte Iserby served as senior policy advisor in the Office of Educational Research and Improvement, U.S. Department of Education under Ronald Reagan, first term of it. So look up Charlotte Iserby. She just passed in 2022. I listened to a bunch of her lectures. She was phenomenal on education. But look up John Taylor Gatto, The Ultimate History Lesson. Phenomenal thing like that. Thank you, Clayton, so much for coming out.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys.
Appreciate it, buddy.
It was a great time.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you
Yeah.
back one way or another. And I'll be excited to see Donald Trump get this. I think that's
I'm
it,
hoping
Tim.
he sends a letter or something back.
Dude, that
there
would be
or something,
awesome.
just
And he's very the when you get past the bullshit that the media's always pushed, when you get to know him on a personal level, that dude is extremely personable. I loved it.
Yeah.
If you haven't had a chance to watch it, there's a interview with there's I just came across, somebody sent it to me, and I watched an interview with it wasn't Elon. anyways, it jumped right over. The next one was for RFK with the same guy sitting
Okay.
there. And this RFK interview, RFK goes into like 20 minutes of saying, I was lied to in the press about Donald Trump. And he said, I never had anything against him, but I didn't care for him, and he goes, I got to know him. And then he says, I'm on the campaign and I'm riding around on a plane with him. He goes, the leading up to the election, the guy didn't sleep for 36 hours straight before he gave that speech.
I can't even.
And he said, and I mean, RFK said, this is the most articulate guy, intelligent guy I've ever met. And he said, don't worry about his cabinet picks, because at the end of it, Donald Trump's making every single decision. He listens, he looks, but he's learned and he's going to do it. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Dark MAGA. All right.
Beautiful
Thank you
bean
guys.
footage.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
This is my brain.
Dad, that's an egg.
Yeah, that's an egg.
Honey,
Dude,
that's an egg.
seriously,
That's an egg.
it's a metaphor.
It's still an egg.
That's an egg.
I would challenge you.
That's an egg.
I know my brain is not actually an egg, okay? It's a metaphor.
Metaphor or not, that's not your brain.
It's just an egg.
Una cerveza para mí. My egg is my brain.
Can I at least have some bacon, maybe some sausage with that egg, though?
Oh, I want some bacon.
I want crepes.
Have some bacon and pancakes with that egg.
I'll take it with cheese.
Extra large brown cage-free eggs.
Can I have your brain with hot cakes?
A sausage and a little toast and potato.
That would be great.
Does it have antibiotics?
I don't know, man. I'm not good at this shit.
Well, they got to be able to resist some diseases.
You resist the disease.
Has it got any hormones?
Maybe. It's cage free.
Vegetarian?
Maybe.
Are they vegan?
No, I eat steak.
Never apologize and never explain.
Never apologize.
Yeah.
Never apologize and never explain.